We are in Brewster, game number 10 on the season as the Firebirds come off a big 4-5 win against Falmouth last night. It's Dylan Pescatore and Ian Nicholas on the Birds Broadcast Network. A 5 o'clock early start here in Brewster as the Whitecaps and the Firebirds do battle for the first time this season. The final team that the Firebirds will face from the East. They haven't faced them yet. They face them today due to a rainout. And Ian, it couldn't be nicer weather today.
It couldn't be nicer. 68 degrees and sunny from Stony Brook Field. They do it early here. As you say, Firebirds trying to turn out the lights on another team tonight. Technically, they cannot do that. No lights from Stony Brook Elementary. So Orleans, if they want to win, going to have to do it the good old-fashioned way before it gets dark around 8:20 here. Trying to keep things bright. 5-game losing streak done with. Big win on the road last night against Falmouth.
That's right, and a 5-4 win that took a lot of pressure off the team, a lot of pressure off the players, and now let's see if they can turn it into a streak. Before we get into that, let's go to our sideline reporter, Sammy Miller, with more.
Dylan and Ian, after snapping the losing streak, the Firebirds were able to take a sigh of relief, but now it's all about building off of that win and keeping the foot on the gas pedal. The team wants to replicate that winning feeling today, and when I talked to the players before the game, the consensus was that playing relaxed and fun baseball allows them to play more loose and eliminates the errors. When they are solely focused on the outcome and worrying about making mistakes, that is when those costly mistakes will happen. Expect a lot of energy coming out of this group who continues to chant, "Birds are hot, birds are hot." Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Sammy. The Birds, relatively, are hot and now look to make it 2 in a row. And they took on a Brewster team that got off to a hot start, however, have reeled back a little bit. How can the Firebirds make it a streak?
They have to make it a streak with their pitching first. Obviously, even though the offense starting to get loose and the bats, as Sammy said, starting to get hot, you can't rely on that right now because you've only had one good game of offensive production in the last week. You have to rely on the pitching. All starts with Chad Gartland, the reigning A-10 pitcher of the year from George Mason, making his first ever summer ball start tonight. Should also expect to see, who knows, maybe Sean Matson come out for another night. We'll see. He was electric getting the final 3 outs of last night's game. Looking to be the new closer of his team out of Harvard. And then the top of the order is key offensively. You have to make sure that Fenwick Trimble still feeling it. He had multiple RBIs last night. One of them a little fluky, but you know what? Confidence is key. And Austin Overn, he's starting to gain more and more confidence from the plate. One of the best players in the Pac-12 with a freshman at a USC. He's reached 5 games in a row, and he's getting a lot of walks, grinding out great at-bats.
That's right, and his speed can also play a big role on the base paths, and they take on a Brewster team that has dropped the last 2. They come back home, and they have Jake Marshall on the mound. What do we know about him, Ian?
What we know about Jake Marshall is he's well-traveled, and he's got good stuff. 6'6", 230-pound, 22-year-old right-handed hurler by way of Rutgers, originally from just outside of Syracuse in central New York. Transferred from Lemoyne, which was a D2 school, now going into D1. After 3 years with the Dolphins, he was dominant. Now he finds himself in New Brunswick with Rutgers. His numbers with the Scarlet Knights, not fantastic overall, just under a 5 ERA in 16 appearances and 10 starts. But he's playing his best baseball, pitching his best baseball right now, a 3.32 ERA over his last 7 appearances of the season with the Scarlet Knights.
He faced Katuitt back 5 days ago, and 4 innings, 2 runs, both earned, 3 hits, 4 walks, and 3 Ks. The 4 walks is what stands out, and he can walk a few and can get a little wild with his control.
He can get a little wild with his control. 37 walks across 51 innings with Rutgers in the spring. Also plunked 11 batters, which is essentially just a free pass and really showcases just how much control you have and how far potentially your pitches drift inward towards the batter. So we'll see. Hopefully one guy who hopes not to get plunked is Fenwick Trimble. And Dylan, I know you caught up with him earlier in the day, so let's see how Dylan and Fenwick chopped it up after a couple of RBIs from the James Madison man last night against Falmouth.
yesterday, but take us through the first inning. Firebirds finally got on the board first with a 2 spot in the first. How good was that for the offense to get in the lead?
I mean, it was great, starting off on the right foot, I guess. Last couple games hasn't really a little stretch of not so good baseball. So just kind of relaxing, not trying to do too much, getting off on a good start. The game was huge for us, mentally too, and we kept it going throughout the game as well. So
I noticed that the dugout continued to be excited every single game, even through a losing streak. And who is to help with that? Is it Coach Banfield? Who is it to continue to keep the positivity in the dugout no matter the results?
It's really all our coaches. I mean, they keep telling us don't worry about the results, don't worry about the results. Keep to your approach, and good things will eventually happen. It's just the sport of baseball. There's a lot of things don't go your way necessarily, and kind of just sticking at it and not stressing too much. I mean, we're all great players, and just having that confidence and knowing that it's going to flip our way eventually. It's because we've been working too hard for it not to. So.
And it did flip your way, and then Falmouth took the lead late in the game. You guys easily could have went down easily after blowing a lead of 2-0, but you came back. You scored 2 in the top of the 7th. How big was that to come back, even though you guys fell down 3-2?
Yeah, it shows that we don't quit. I mean, it worked out our way, obviously, but it hasn't been working out for us, and that's the thing. So it was a good little mental little reset, I guess, in a way. Was it flipping our way? So it's just stuck to it and never quit.
You hit the ball hard a few times yesterday, an RBI single in the first, and then you had an RBI single in that 7th inning. But I think the biggest swing of the day was Jake Casey's in the 9th, getting a home run, first home run in a week for the Firebirds, and that one, I don't think it's landed yet.
No.
So how big was that for the dugout?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, and that ended up being the difference there after the bottom of the 9th inning. We only won by 1. So, I mean, it's just a massive shot and a great situation. Too bad there's not more runners on, but it was enough to win. And yeah, he was a bomb. He needed it. It was one of those swings that he deserved it. He works hard, and yeah, so it was great for the team. Just overall happiness, I guess.
when we asked him, he said his hobbies off the field are just talking about hitting. So that's him. In the 9th inning, it got a little stressful. The 2 walks to start the inning. Then Sean Matson comes in and put on a Houdini act to get out of that.
Right, yeah.
How were you feeling in the outfield when that whole inning transpired?
I mean, I trust the pitchers. Obviously Danny didn't want to walk those 2 guys, but it happened. Sean came in, told him, he's got his back, and laid out for that bunt. That was huge. I think right when he laid out for that, we were like, all right, yeah, we're in a good position. But yeah, everyone wants it, and everyone works hard, so there's not much pressure. It's just kind of trusting your teammates. And
so a close win yesterday. Now you take on Brewster for 2 in a row. 1 in Brewster today, 1 at Orleans tomorrow. How can you guys start a win streak?
Hey, just keep to your approach. Keep not trying to do too much, and just win, compete. And that's all you can ask for.
And then last one. How are you enjoying? It's been about a week to 10 days to start the Cape, and you've been here the whole time. How have you been enjoying the team, the camaraderie, and just the environment?
I love it. Everyone's a great teammate, which is big. I mean, we have a good team chemistry so far. Everyone's pretty close. We do have everything together, I feel like. So I love it. Everyone's a great guy, great staff, great everything. So great facility. Who's
the voice of the dugout? Who's the guy that everyone looks to, maybe for a chant or to look to if you're down? Who's that guy in the dugout? Ooh. Or maybe a few. I
feel like everyone's got their own carries their own weight, and it's not. No one's really the rah-rah guy, and that's good. Everyone just kind of does their thing, and it all kind of sparks together when we're clicking the right way. So
awesome. Thank you, Fenwick. Yeah. Back to you, Ian. That was Fenwick Trimble for you. 3-hitter for the Firebirds, 2 RBIs last night, and a 5-4 win against the Falmouth Commodores. Another road game for the Firebirds tonight. It is in Brewster. A little bit of a easier trip in terms of driving and time, and we're back in the East Division. Ian, Firebirds have not beaten an East team yet. They need to get going tonight and or tomorrow.
No, but the interesting thing about the Cape League is it doesn't really matter. I mean, obviously you play your teams in your division more than you play your teams in the West Division, but a point's a point. 2 points for a win, 1 point for a tie, none for a loss. So obviously you want bragging rights. You want to be able to prove you can go up against a top team in the league and beat them at the end of the day. Falmouth, talented, but still now just 2-5-2 on the year. Meanwhile, Brewster at 4-3-2, eager for a win after getting bullied by Harwich last night, a team that's been in the last 2 championship series and won 2 of the last 5, dating back to 2017. Jamie Shevchik, he knows how to run a crew in summer ball.
Yeah, Harwich beat down Brewster last night. They'll now have to rebound today against these Firebirds who, Ian, let's hear the starting 9.
Starting 9 for Orleans includes Austin Overn at a USC in center field batting first. Joe Oyama from UC Irvine batting second and playing at second. Fenwick Trimble, the hero of last night's game, batting third in right field from James Madison. Jake Casey, his big home run of the 9th inning yesterday, the winning run. He is cleanup hitter tonight in left field out of Kent State. Eddie Micheletti Jr. batting fifth, the DH from George Washington. Andy Blake playing at third, transferring to Duke this season from Columbia. Batting seventh, Jake Hyde at first base from Georgetown. Batting eighth, Henry Hunter, the Alabama Birmingham catcher, is batting eighth. And rounding out the order for Kelly Nicholson, the switch hitter, Drew Furrow, transferring to Florida State and playing shortstop.
So that's the starting 9 for the Firebirds. And Ian, usually you're the one asking me this, but I'm going to ask you. Your pick to click for tonight for the Firebirds.
I think it's Austin Overn. And he's reached base 5 games in a row. A lot of it via walks. He's actually tied for second in the entire league in walks, which is obviously what you want to see for a guy who has 4 hits on the year. He is finding ways from that leadoff spot to reach, to score runs, use that elite speed of his. I know you were talking with him before the game. I think he might have guaranteed a home run off the scoreboard. We'll see. Austin Overn, he's got that power, even for a guy who might not look like it. He's got great power in the swing, and I think tonight could be the opportunity to unleash it on the road.
Well, he didn't maybe not say that word for word, but he said he has to definitely get going with the bat. He said he loves the walks. He likes stealing bags, but he'd rather get on with hits rather than walks. And if that's your pick, Ian, Overn's going to have a big night tonight. So that's the starting 9 for the Firebirds, who start the starting pitcher from George Mason, Chad Gartland, on the mound. And he's a little bit of a funky cat when it comes to his pitch types, Ian.
A funky cat. That's an interesting way to describe it. He does have a forkball in his arsenal, which is a term you don't hear too often, but his grip, I mean, the way he grips the ball with one finger on the far left, one finger on the far right, definitely looks like he's forking it. He also has a fastball in the mid-90s. He's got great stuff and a couple of really good off-speed offerings, which made him the A-10 pitcher of the year with George Mason in the spring. Rochester, New York native. This is actually his first summer ball start ever. Second appearance with the Firebirds this summer. Heading into his senior year at George Mason. This is his first season playing summer ball, period. Who knows? Let's see if the nerves get to him. He's pitched in a lot of big games for a George Mason team that just made the tournament. We'll see how he holds up tonight against the potent Brewster offense looking to rebound.
That's right. We'll head to break for Anthem. We'll be back for first pitch. Firebirds, Whitecaps here on the Birds Broadcast Network. them done. First pitch done, ready for baseball between the Whitecaps and the Firebirds here on the Birds Broadcast Network. That was Scorching Start, our pregame show presented by Siemens Bank. As Cape Cod's first community bank, Siemens Bank is proud to support the Firebirds and the special place they hold in the heart of the Orleans community. Siemens Bank provides our local businesses, families, friends, and nonprofit organizations with the products and services they need. With the local and personal service they deserve, please stop by any of their branches or go to siemensbank.com and see what they can do for you. Siemens Bank, a member FDIC, member DIF. And, of course, go Firebirds. So Austin Overn leads off for the Firebirds today on a sunny day. Ian, looking for 2 in a row.
Looking for 2 in a row, and it starts with Austin, who, as we talked about a bit on Scorching Start, has been getting it done. 5 games in a row, the freshman out of USC has got on base, and that trend has to continue tonight against a Brewster offense that did not look too hot yesterday on the road in Harwich. They're going to certainly come out with a lot of energy, but so is Orleans. Top of the order, Overn, Oyama, Trimble, Casey. Those 4, all of them, had a big impact in yesterday's offensive spark. 5 runs on the board for Orleans against those Falmouth Commodores. Same thing has to happen here today for Kelly Nicholson's crew.
Let's give you the around the diamond, around the outfield defensive alignment for the Brewster Whitecaps. It's Forbes, Tibbs, and Ferrer left to right in the outfield. Samini, Green, Austin, and Tibbetts from third to first, and Irish does the catching for Jake Marshall out of Rutgers. Eligible for this year's draft. Could go back for another year for his graduate year, depending on how this summer goes, how the draft goes for him. But today he's focused on having a better start than he did against Katuitt a few days ago. 4 innings, 2 runs, 3 hits, 3 Ks, and 4 walks. And he faces a Firebirds offense that claims they are hot and look to stay up to task.
Well, there's only one way to go for this offense headed into yesterday. Now they've got to put a repeat performance together. This team only had 6 runs in 5 games during that 5-game losing streak, and they almost had the same amount yesterday. So there's a lot of positivity around the clubhouse. The swings are good. The contact is there. Put the ball in play. Good things break your way.
Overn steps into the box as we start at 5:01 p.m. Jake Marshall, Austin Overn, the first battle to be set tonight. Marshall will deal from the right side, low for ball number 1. Overn 4 for 28 on the season. However, he's been boosting his on base with a lot of walks and a lot of speed. The 1-0 pitch, once again low. Overn up 2-0 in the count.
Overn tied for second in the league in walks, tied for second in the league in stolen bases.
He's got speed, can get on base. Here's the 2-0 pitch from Marshall. In for a strike at the bottom of the zone. Ike Irish does the catching and made a nice frame on the 2-0 pitch from Marshall. Kicks and deals a 2-1, line to first base, and foul. A good hard hit ball from Overn. It got past the first baseman Tibbetts, but on the opposite side of the line that he wanted it to be.
Overn puts that ball down the line, and it gets by Tibbetts. Guaranteed extra bases, maybe even 3 of them. Led the nation in triples this year with 14.
2-2 the count as Overn steps back into the box. Marshall's 2-2, fouled away on a check swing. And not only have the results gotten better for the Firebirds, but the at-bats have really taken an increase in terms of quality.
Saw it yesterday. Just drawing walks, making the pitcher work harder, striking out less.
Marshall's ready for the 2-2 again. Here it comes. Over and up the middle, and caught by the shortstop. Ground ball, he's safe. It gets away and out of play. Overn's going to take second. It was a hard hit ground ball to Green at shortstop. The throw over to first was offline and into the Firebirds dugout. Overn will take second. They're going to rule it a hit.
Rule it a hit, and then a throwing error on Green. First error of the day after one batter faced. Austin Overn, it's a shame he's going to head to USA Baseball in a few days because he's getting better and better with each appearance in the leadoff spot.
Overn stands at second. Nobody out for the Firebirds. Joe Oyama gets down and gets down to bunt down the third base line. Picked up and thrown to first, not in time. Overn moves to third. It's runners on the corners with nobody out here in the top of the first for Orleans.
Joe Oyama, as crafty as they come. I'd argue he's probably the best at laying down a bunt in the entire Cape Cod Baseball League. Unselfish and textbook with that speed to beat it out too and reach as well.
2 RBIs for Fenwick Trimble last night. He's set up for another right here. Over and on third, Oyama at first with nobody out. Top 1 between the Whitecaps and the Firebirds. First meeting of the season. First pitch to Trimble is swung on and missed at the high fastball. 2 hits already for Orleans. They had a similar first inning yesterday against Falmouth, putting up 2 runs against the Commodores on the road.
I'm wondering if Fenwick Trimble can launch his second double of the year here. I know it's difficult, but they called him Fenny Two Bags at James Madison. He's got the power to drive in multiple runs.
Marshall takes a look to first. Now the 0-1 pitch in there for a strike. So an early jam for Jake Marshall to get out of. Usually it's set up by walks and hit by pitches. However, it was a hit by Overn, an error by the shortstop Green, and a bunt single by Oyama. Check over on Oyama at first. He gets back in time. Tagged by Brock Tibbetts out of Indiana University.
That's why you want speed at the top of your order. Kelly Nicholson has a crew that runs really well.
Marshall comes set. He'll check over on Oyama again. Once again, he gets back in time.
Oyama, 14 stolen bases in the spring with UC Irvine. Already won this season with Orleans.
Marshall will get his sign. Twirl the ball in his hand. Now comes set. The 0-2 to Trimble. Comes home. Fly ball into right field. Back goes Ferrer. Moving up. He will make the catch. Over and fakes the tag. He'll head back to third base. Too shallow for the sac fly. Marshall gets what he needs. Runners stay at first and third.
Smart decision from Overn and also from third base coach and hitting coach Max Fesky. Understanding that Overn has some of the best speed on the Cape, but not to make a mistake, especially that's just the first out of the inning. Give Jake Casey and Eddie Micheletti opportunities to drive these guys in instead of generating a second out.
Marshall gets the first out. Another check on Oyama, who makes it back in time. Getting his jersey dirty early. Jake Casey comes to the plate. Last time he was at the box, it was in Falmouth last night. A solo home run, another check over on Oyama, and another time where he comes back. He hit it 382 feet over the right field fence in Falmouth.
The right field fence here, 380 feet. Or I should say, yeah, 380 in right center.
Oyama goes, the throw down. It gets away. Overn's going to come to the plate. Here's the play. Overn is safe. He got the hand in past the catcher Irish. A double steal for the Firebirds, and they take the lead in the first.
Speed kills. And the double steal, evident of the burners. The top of the lineup pass for Kelly Nicholson. Joe Oyama was in the head of Jake Marshall. He was checking in on him. Couldn't hold him on at first. And a bad throw allows Overn just to slide in time.
The first pitch to Casey was a strike. Now down 0-1 in the count. Second pitch is a ball low. Oyama at second. The throw was on line, however, bobbled by the shortstop Green.
Who made the error just a few moments ago, Peyton Green did.
It won't be ruled an error this time. Oyama's still at second. This one in the dirt. Oyama's going to try to take third. Here's the throw. It gets by the third baseman, Samini. Oyama's going to come to the plate. He's going to get down, and he's safe. Some sloppy defense by the Whitecaps early allows the Firebirds to take a 2-0 lead in the first.
Ike Irish, not an easy guy to get around behind the dish. One of the best freshmen in all of the SEC at Auburn a year ago, but unable to land a throw to the hot corner that could pin down Oyama. Just running silly right now with the Birds.
2-1 to Casey. It's a ground ball to second base. Austin up with it and throws low, but in time, and caught by Tibbetts for the out. Maybe not your usual 2-run in the first inning, Ian, kind of like that 7th inning last night in Falmouth, but the Orleans Firebirds get the job done.
Orleans is going to take the offense however it can get it. The bats are starting to come alive, but until the barrels start to land with the wooden bats, you'll use your speed. You'll rely on it to put pressure on the infield.
Eddie Micheletti, first pitch swing up the middle. Green bobbles this one, gets it, throws it over to first in time for the out. But before that, the Firebirds score 2 runs in an odd fashion. Over in singles, moves to second on the error, comes around to score on a double steal. Oyama scores after stealing third, and the throw went into left field. 2-0 Firebirds here on the Birds Broadcast Network as we head to the bottom of the first. Back on the Birds Broadcast Network, 2-0 Orleans as we head to the bottom of the first. A 2-spot put up by the Firebirds in the top of the frame, and it feels so good, and now they play a little bit of defense. Who's the starting pitcher for the Firebirds tonight?
Starting pitcher is Chad Gartland, the righty out of George Mason, reigning A-10 pitcher of the year. Call him the Fireman, and it's more than just because he puts out fires whenever he pitches. It's because he's got a pretty cool story. And this is his second appearance and first start for Orleans. Should be a solid one.
Backed up by which 8 defenders?
Henry Hunter behind the dish. Jake Hyde at first. Joe Oyama at second. Andy Blake at third. Drew Farrow rounds out the infield at short. Jake Casey playing in left. Austin Overton in center. Fenwick Trimble in right.
Chad Gartland gets his first start. Came in relief against Harwich. That was on Sunday in a bad loss, 12-2 for the Firebirds. They won last night and now take a 2-0 lead early. And they did the same thing yesterday. However, in the next 2 innings, some sloppy defense allowed Falmouth to tie the game up. How can they continue to keep this lead and then build on it?
Well, the defense is key. You saw so many self-inflicted wounds in the top of the inning from Brewster. It puts more pressure on your own infield to realize protecting the lead comes down to those 4 guys that surround Gartland. Andy Blake, Joe Oyama, Drew Farrow, and Jake Hyde. They have to be at their best because defense turns into zeros. Zeros turn into more opportunities for your offense to grow the lead.
James Tibbs is the first batter for Brewster and stands in the left-handed batter's box. Takes a first pitch ball low from Gartland. From Florida State University. He dominated their offense this season as he takes the 1-0, swings and misses through it. 338 average, 1153 OPS, 682 slug, all leading his team. A dominant hitter. As a Seminole, he takes strike 2 from Gartland with the fastball.
Still wearing the FSU elbow pad on the right elbow and the shin guard on the right leg.
1-2, another fastball fouled away. A few Firebirds are heading over to Florida State. Cam Leiter, Drew Farrow. They'll be teammates with Tibbs, who says he's coming back for another year.
Yes, a tough year for FSU, but Link Jarrett, a great coach.
1-2, fastball fouled away. Gartland not only has a fastball, but also a changeup and 2 pitches that drop. A little bit different than each other.
Yes, a forkball, which should be used often tonight.
There's the changeup fouled away again. Tibbs proving to be a hard out. 49 strikeouts, 48 walks this season at Florida State.
Gartland working quickly early on.
1-2 pitch. Popped up, third base side in foul territory. Will Blake have enough room? He won't. Gartland attacking, Tibbs giving it right back.
Gartland's got a 4-seamer, which can get up to 93 on the radar gun, and a movement-heavy splitter to complement a sweeping slider.
The 1-2 pitch is low. And for Gartland to be effective tonight, he has to control the low part of the zone.
He does, because his stuff drops, but Henry Hunter's got to be ready for it as well.
The 2-2 pitch from Gartland is chopped foul, first base side into the Firebirds dugout.
Great at bat from James Tibbs. Even if he doesn't reach here, you set the tone and you send a message saying, especially after that weaker offensive performance last night against Harwich, we're going to battle in the box today.
This will be pitch number 8 between Gartland and Tibbs. Bottom 1, 2-0 Firebirds. First batter for the Whitecaps tonight. Garland gets his sign. He'll kick and deal the 2-2. Did he go on the splitter? He did. First at-bat strikeout for Tibbs from Gartland. The splitter proves worthy.
Although Gartland did give up an earned run in his first inning pitch down the summer season last Friday against Catuit, he showed just how good his stuff was when he struck out the side and didn't walk anybody. 4th strikeout and his 4th out gotten on the mound.
Trevor Austin, the next batter. First pitch swinging off the hands to Oyama at second, on to first for the out. So after a 8-pitch battle with Tibbs, a 1-pitch out of Austin.
That's the thing. You got to work for everything you get. Sometimes you get a great pitch. You've got to swing. But what a drastic drop-off, and not a lucky break, but a good pitch. Gets the out. Also a broken bat there, too, for Austin.
Left-handed Ike Irish swings and misses at pitch number 1 from Gartland with 2 outs in the bottom of the first. Irish from Auburn, this will be game number 5 for him, and also does the catching tonight. The 0-1 swings and misses again.
Irish on the All-SEC freshman team this past season with the Tigers.
0-2 from the George Mason man. Here it comes. Does not get the call in the outside corner. Now 1-2, 2 outs. Bottom 1. Garland working quickly. The 1-2 is blasted to right but foul. And into the trees. I talked to Connor Eaton today in the bullpen, a teammate of Garland at George Mason. He said, you can know pretty early what type of outing you're going to get from Gartland. Most of the time, it's a really good one. 1-2 is popped off the fist in the center. Overn jogs in and makes the catch. A 1-2-3, bottom of the first for Gartland. We'll head to the second. 2-0 Firebirds here on the Birds Broadcast Network. Top 2 on the Birds Broadcast Network. Andy Blake back in the lineup tonight and batting 6th for the Firebirds. A big top of the first with 2 runs coming across for Orleans. Andy Blake will face off with Jake Marshall, but not before Ike Irish, who seems to have an equipment issue with his chest protector.
That he does. He's taking the chest protector off. Currently talking to the left side of home plate with one of the Brewster coaches, umpire checking in on the situation as well. This Brewster defense needs to be better in the second inning. 3 errors in 1 inning is unacceptable, and obviously Jake Marshall feeling probably a little less confident now than he did at the start of the game, but a lot of that was out of his control.
Irish gets his chest protector adjusted. A lot out of Marshall's control, but also did allow the hard hit ball to Overn and a bunt single by Oyama, and that's what set up the inning for the Firebirds. So Blake's ready, Marshall's ready, and most importantly, Irish is ready. Top two, 2-0 Orleans. First pitch swing is Blake. Chopper to third. Good play by the third baseman and throws it over to first. That's Samini to Tibbetts. Pick the chopper out of the air and makes the play.
Andy Blake still trying to gain some consistency in this early part of the summer for Orleans. Reigning Ivy League Player of the Year at Columbia, but now just 1 for 13 from the dish.
Marshall gets a one pitch out in the top of the second. Hyde also swings first pitch, but pops this one foul out of play. Jake Hyde back in the lineup after a few games where Matt Hallback was playing first, and now Hyde gets his run. Marshall comes set on the 0-1 with one out. It's inside and low for a ball.
Hyde trying to bounce back from a performance where he struck out 4 times. Did not strike out a lot in the early portion of the season. A lot of power in his left-handed swing at Georgetown.
1-1 with one out. Once again, low and inside, 2-1 to Hyde. Really looking to unlock that power and that hitting that he had in the Big East this year at Georgetown. Guy who led the Big East in RBIs. 2-1, popped up foul once again.
We were talking to Owen Carpellotti, his Georgetown teammate, one of the 2 catchers on this Orleans team before the game. Mentioned the dimensions at Georgetown's home field. Might help a little bit, but still, the numbers that both of those guys, and especially Hyde, put up this past spring, they get you excited over a .320 batting average.
2-2 pitch from Marshall is outside for ball 3. A full count to Hyde. Like Ian said, 3 errors in that top of the first for Brewster. 2 runs came across for Orleans on 2 hits. The 3-2 pitch, line down the line, but foul. First base side and on to the gravel warning track here at Stony Brook Field. Count stays 3-2 with one out.
Orleans was supposed to be here at Stony Brook Field on Saturday, but just like most of the league, rain out.
The 3-2 is popped into center, well hit. Back goes Tibbs, and he makes the catch with his right hand in front of the fence, about 10 feet in front.
.395 in center from Stony Brook Field. I hope the elementary kids who just got out of school for the summer don't have to play here. They wouldn't get remotely close. But a good well-hit ball from Jake Hyde. Putting good swings up. Just needs to catch a break.
Seems like both the Georgetown guys are putting up good at-bats, just not getting the results just yet. Him and Owen Carpellotti. First pitch to Henry Hunter, who does the catching today, is a strike on the outside corner.
For the first time this season, we saw multiple catchers playing one game for Orleans last night. Carpellotti started.
The 1 is a breaking ball high, 1-1. And I asked Coach Kelly Nicholson, I said, bearing anything happening, but hopefully it doesn't. If Henry Hunter got hurt or something happened to him, here's the 1-1 from Marshall. It's low. Who would come in and catch for this team because there's only 2 on the roster? He said Eddie Micheletti, which I could see.
He's got the legs
Definitely.
to get down there and stay down there, which is such a tough job.
2-1 pitch to Hunter is a whiff and an off-speed pitch in the dirt.
Owen didn't even know the answer when we were talking to him before the game. But at least somebody does. At least Kelly Nicholson knows where to go, and hopefully they don't get to that point.
Exactly. 2-2, 2 outs. Swing and a miss from Hunter. Marshall gets his first strikeout on the day and has a 1-2-3, much cleaner top of the second. 2-0, the score stays the same. Here on the Birds Broadcast Network, we'll be back with the bottom of the second. Bottom 2 on the Birds Broadcast Network. 2-0 Firebirds. Brewster still in search of their first hit. They'll bring up their 4, 5, 6 hitters in Jaime Ferrer, Dylan Leach, and Brock Tibbetts.
The entirety of his Brewster lineup trying to get back on track after Harwich with another offensive explosion last night. Brewster back at home for the first time in almost a week. But Chad Gartland was in clear control, going 1-2-3 in the bottom of the first. Battered it out with James Tibbs, the leadoff man for Brewster. Ended up striking him out, and then pretty much worked through Trevor Austin and Ike Irish fairly quickly. Ground out to second, fly out to center. And you talked about it. Connor Eaton is Georgetown George Mason teammate before the game, and now Firebird teammate. If Gartland's on early, he's on throughout. So hopefully the Firebirds can get 3 to 4 more innings out of Gartland to set up a strong day pitching overall.
A few good arms out of the bullpen set up for the Firebirds as well. Bottom 2, 2-0 Orleans. They scored 2 in the top of the first. Thank you for joining us here on the Birds Broadcast Network. Once again on the road. First pitch swinging to Ferrer is a swing and a miss. Gartland brings out the off-speed for strike number 1.
Orleans back at home tomorrow. It plays Brewster at 6:30 from Eldridge.
Little home-and-home action. 0-1, another swing and a miss. We heard it from Eaton. If he's on, he's on, and Gartland is on.
Crazy to think this guy didn't have a single D1 or D2 offer.
0-2 popped up. Foul out of play. Almost to the food stand.
Watch out below. It's crazy to think he didn't have a single D1 or D2 offer coming out of high school.
That's something wrong with those scouts. 0-2 is in the dirt for a ball.
Watch how loud you say that, Dylan. But the way Gartland's pitching, he could be somebody that they're looking for this go-around.
Oh, they should be, with how great he's been at college and now here as a Firebird. The 1-2 to Ferrer. Ground ball in the hole. Diving for it was a shortstop Ferrer, but it finds its way into left field. A leadoff single for Ferrer in the second.
Just a well-hit ball. Good effort from Ferrer to nearly rob Ferrer of the hit. Those two will be teammates at Florida State next spring. Seminole-on-Seminole action, and Ferrer beats Ferrer.
Maybe some practice. This is like practice in the fall.
Yeah.
Dylan Leach batting from the left side. He's a switch hitter. Garland takes a look at Leach, a few of them. Now he'll deal. Ferrer on first. Leach at the plate. Swing and a miss from Leach on the first pitch fastball. Leach spent 2 years at Arkansas, then transferred to Mizzou. Spent his year there and could be heading back to be a Tiger again. Check over on Ferrer at first. Hyde gives a soft tag and tossed it back to Gartland.
Still wearing his Tigers gear, although some turnover potentially expected with that program. Their longtime head coach no longer at Mizzou.
0-1 to Leach. Takes a few looks, now fires. It's a cold strike on the outside corner.
But I do got to say, if he does go back, that gear is sweet. Those batting gloves, yellow with the black stripes, that's clean.
From Columbia, Missouri, Mizzou is. Check over on Ferrer. Just got back in time. He was leaning. And Gartland fired a fastball over there. Just got back in time. 0-2 on Leach. Nobody out. Man on first. Bottom of the second. 2-0 Orleans. Here comes fouled ball. Left field side out of play on the high fastball.
Gartland just pounding the strike zone through an inning here. 19 strikes, 4 balls, and 23 pitches.
We'll do the 0-2 again. Did he go? He checked his swing. The check, he did not. He did not go. 1-2 the count. Leach held up just in time on the slider into the dirt. So tantalizing are those pitches from Gartland that end up with some dust around them. Another check over on Ferrer. This one not as close. One ball, 2 strikes, nobody out, bottom of the second. Another foul ball back to the screen.
Another good at bat. similar to the one Tibbs put up to start this game. The only way you're going to get rid of Gartland is to drive that pitch count up.
That's what Brewster has been doing. Up to 25 pitches, bottom of the second with nobody out. The 1-2 pitch, swing and a miss. Buries it in the dirt. Hunter makes the catch, and strikeout number 2 for Gartland.
But as I just mentioned, how did both of those long at-bats end? Tibbs, strikeout. Leach, struck out. Gartland is ready to go to battle, and he'll take you to the finish line, and he'll get you to swing and miss.
Brock Tibbetts, not Tibbs, Tibbetts, up to plate from Indiana University. Good block by Hunter on a slider in the dirt. Forces Ferrer to go back. He was 6th in batting average in the Big Ten this year with a .357 average. In 6 games here in Brewster, he has 5 RBIs.
Our good friend Austin Platt, broadcaster in the NYCBL, which actually Brewster pitcher Jake Marshall played for his team, Syracuse Saltcats. He would know a lot about Indiana Hoosier baseball.
He was excited when we brought him up that he was on the Whitecaps this year. Excited for Brewster, of course. Runner off, pitch of the ball, throw to second. Oyama with the tag, in time. Hunter to Oyama to catch Ferrer, stealing second.
Ferrer caught stealing for the first time this season, now 1 for 2. When trying to swipe a bag, great play from Oyama, not the biggest guy. Hunter kind of threw it over his head, but the 5'7" Oyama reached up, quickly got it down.
Tibbetts takes a strike, now 1-1. It was to the first base side of the bag, but Oyama caught it, slapped the tag down just in time.
Great throw from Hunter.
2-1 to Tibbetts, bottom of the zone for a strike. Gartland 1 pitch away from getting out of the second. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs with a 2-0 lead. The Firebirds gained it in the first. Kicks and deals the 2-2. Did he go? He did not. A check swing on another off-speed pitch. Gartland's getting swings, check swings, and everything on pitches out of the zone.
That call confirmed by first base ump Mike Rabideau.
3-2, 2 outs. Gartland fires. Line drive over the head of Blake and into left field. Casey will circle it and field it, holding Tibbetts to a single as he throws it in quickly.
Now batting third baseman number 11, Vince Cimini.
Great piece of 2-out hitting from Brock Tibbetts. You hit over 350 in the Big Ten. You can hit anywhere at any time. Gartland breezing through 2 innings here. But the hardest out to get is the 3rd out. And Brewster trying to put something together.
Vince Cimini is the batter out of Boston College, who bats 7th for Brewster tonight. Tibbetts off first with 2 outs. First pitch of the fastball for a strike from Gartland. Cimini had a home run, a 2-run shot on opening night against Bourne, and ever since, only 1 hit. Check over on Tibbetts, who dives back safely.
Last night at Harwich was a struggle for the BC Eagle. 0 for 4 with 3 Ks.
Gartland looking to exploit it. Gets a swing and a miss on a fastball. A tip into the glove of Hunter. Quickly 0-2 on Cimini. Tibbetts with a short lead off first. Maybe a step and a half if you were pushing it. 0-2 the pitch to Cimini. It left it up. Casey in the left. A diving catch. Line drive. Casey moves in. Makes the catch to record the 3rd out of the inning. Originally had a bad read on the line drive, stopped in his tracks, then moved forward, makes the diving catch in front of him, and records the 3rd out. We'll go to the 3rd, still 2-0 Orleans, backed by some great defense.
Welcome back to the Birds Broadcast Network. I'm Sammy Miller. The Firebirds are up 2-0 heading to the top of the third. The talk right now in the dugout is all about building on yesterday's success. They want to be contagious and continue to pass the baton to the next guy by stringing on plays to get their teammates on bases. We saw yesterday and we're seeing today that players like Austin Overn and Joe Oyama can run, and they can run fast. So if the opportunity presents itself, expect a lot more aggressiveness from the base running to continue their hot start. Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Sammy. Base running all over in that top of the first. Got Orleans a 2-0 lead, which they still hold as we go to the top of the third. The 9-hitter, Drew Farreau, takes a first pitch strike in the top of the third from Jake Marshall. Marshall had a shaky top of the first. He went 1-2-3 in the second. The 0-1, a swing and a miss from Farreau, late on the fastball. Farreau had a great game against YD 2 days ago, an RBI single off Nick Judas. 0-2, bounce in there for a ball. The only run that the Firebirds could muster on Monday night.
Really solid hit to right field, scored Joe Oyama after he doubled in the second inning of that game to give Orleans the lead, which it could not build off of.
Marshall's 1-2 to Farreau, outside for a ball.
The big thing with Drew, he's got such a powerful swing. 15 home runs with Central Florida in the spring. Has to draw out at bats.
2-2 the count to Farreau. It's low for ball 3. From 0-2 to now 3-2. It's kind of been the story of the at-bats the last few games.
It has been, especially for somebody like Drew, who's only walked once through 5 games. Stay patient, take your bags, a la Austin Overn.
Marshall will deal the full count pitch. Farreau swings and misses. Marshall with his second strikeout of the day and first in the third for the first out.
It's a good pitch. You have to swing at it. Obviously, it's in the zone. Take a hack. But timing, it's going to take a while for a lot of these guys who've had a few weeks off in between the collegiate season and the summer ball season. Moving of a wood bat, but a good at bat that just doesn't end in the result.
Back to the top of the order, Austin Overn takes the first pitch strike. Singled, reached second on the error as Parker Green threw it into the Orleans dugout. Overn found his way home. Moved to third as he takes a ball on a Joe Oyama bunt single. Came around to score the Firebirds' first run. The 1-1 pitch, called strike on the outside part of the zone. Overn checks his bat, step back into the box, and set himself up to receive the 1-2 with 1 out. Fouls it back. Overn will be heading to Team USA in a couple of days. Receive the invite. He'll be in a pool of players who seem or look to get selected by Team USA to play a few games against Chinese Taipei and Japan. The 1-2 again from Marshall. A swing and a miss. It gets down in the dirt. Irish uses the outside part of the foul line and makes the play. Tibbetts with the catch to secure the strikeout. That's 3 straight Ks from Marshall.
It'll be exciting to see what Austin can do in Cary, North Carolina. Over 50 players invited, all of them non-draft eligible. Just under 30 make the cut.
He will look to be one of those 30. Joe Oyama comes to the plate with 2 out. First pitch to lefty at the top of the zone for a strike. Oyama singled, stole second. Came around to score as he tried to steal third. Throw got into left field and he came home easily. 0-1, bottom of the zone, but called a strike. Quickly 0-2 as Marshall seems to be getting into a groove.
Retired 8 in a row since giving up that single to Oyama all the way back in the first.
Looks to make it 9. The 0-2 pitch to Oyama is low for a ball.
Oyama's got a great command of his strike zone. Over a .320 batting average with UC Irvine in the spring.
Third baseman Samini back, now with 2 strikes. The 1-2, ground ball to first, but foul. Tibbetts gave it an effort, realized what was going on, and said, that's not my job. So we'll stick at 1-2.
Matt Hallback probably would have dove for that one.
Yes, he would. An athletic man he is. Getting an off day today. The 1-2 to Oyama. Fouled it off. Just got a piece.
Oyama always looks super calm up there, chewing the gum in the left-handed batter's box. Really fun player to watch.
See if he has a superstition, maybe flavor of gum.
I got no idea.
Could be next on Snacking with Sammy. The 1-2 with 2 outs to Oyama is low. A Joe Oyama gum special.
I'm more excited for the Yarmouth Dennis Donut Burger coming up soon. But you know me, I'm a connoisseur of gum as well.
Count now 2-2. Oyama chops it down the first base line. It's going to be a tough play for Tibbetts, who fields it and steps on first for the out. Oyama gave him a run for his money, but not fast enough. Marshall goes 1-2-3 in the third, and we'll head to the bottom of the frame. 2-0 Firebirds here on the Birds Broadcast Network. Bottom of the third on the Birds Broadcast Network, 2-0 Orleans. That's coming out to the mound for the third time is Chad Gartland. And 2 base runners last inning. 1 caught stealing, 1 was left on base. But overall, he's looked good.
Yes, I think he's looked at his best. And we've seen just how unhittable his stuff is during the 2 longest at-bats of the day for Brewster. James Tibbs led off the first. Dylan Leach came up second in the second. Both of them near double-digit pitches, and their at-bats with those two, both of them struck out. Excited to see what Gartland can do here. Hopefully continue to keep his pitch count down in the bottom of the third. Orleans, outside of one Cam Leiter start over a week ago, has gotten solid length out of its starters.
Peyton Green, the 8-hitter for Brewster, will be the first man to the plate in the third. Garland looking to build on a strong start already. Fires a first pitch ball low. Green has a hit in all 7 games that he's played except 1 from NC State. There's another hit cracked into center field. Over and will circle it and throw it back in. A leadoff single just like back in the second for Brewster.
Gartland's already proved once he can work through some traffic. Usually keeps the traffic to a minimum under a 1-2 whip. Walks and hits per innings pitched at George Mason in the spring.
That is a really good number and a great stat. Runner on first with no outs. Bottom 3, Orleans up 2-0 in Brewster. Garland deals to Forbes. First pitch strike, Patrick Forbes out of Louisville. Does some pitching, mostly hitting. He is listed as a pitcher on the Brewster roster. Does both check over at first. Hyde drops it. We'll pick it up from the dirt and throw it back to Gartland.
Got the red and white Adidas gloves for the Cards. Collegiate teammates with somebody in the Orleans dugout, Eddie King.
That's right. Eddie played a big part in last night's win. 0-1 is smoked into left. Casey's going to have to let it drop. Back-to-back singles from the 8 and 9 hitters of Brewster to start out the third.
First time tonight in 2 innings that Gartland's allowed back-to-back base runners to reach for the Caps. As the traffic continues to build, Brewster has twice as many hits as Orleans, 4-2 through 2.5, but no runs to show for it, as the luck of a draw favoring the Birds right now.
James Tibbs, who put up a battle before striking out against Gartland in the first, will take his second at-bat. On second is Green. On first is Forbes. First pitch is high for a ball. The first real jam that Gartland has had to face, and the first time Brewster has gotten a man in scoring position tonight. 1-0 the count. Gartland looks to second. Now fires. Pop up into left. Casey doesn't have to move much. Now moves toward the foul line. He'll make the catch. The runners stay put for out number 1.
Jake Casey, good job tracking down that ball. Kind of made its way more towards the foul line. Casey's been good in left today. Haven't had to talk about him much defensively when he's been out there. Probably a good thing.
Definitely a good thing when you don't have to talk about somebody's defense. That means that he's good. That means that he's performing well. Trevor Austin, the Mizzou man, comes up to the plate with runners on first and second and 1 out in the bottom of the 3rd. Garland looks back at second twice, fires a first pitch fastball in for a strike. 2 hits for the Firebirds. That came off the bat of Austin Overend and Joe Oyama in the first. They both came around to score. Garland sets. The 0-1 is a slider down and away for ball number 1. Brewster looking to get back on track after a big 9-3 loss last night in Harwich. The 1-1 count. All speed for a strike.
Inside corner. Get ahead in the count. Wondering if Gartland goes off speed here.
Maybe buried in the dirt again. See what he decides with Henry Hunter, his battery mate. Austin set, Gartland set. 1-2 with 1 out. Time called by the umpire. He said violation on the pitcher for the pitch clock, I believe. And in the Cape Cod League, due to this violation, at the first time, they're not going to move up the runner. So the runners stay put. It's still Green at second and Forbes at first. That's the first time we've seen that this year.
Yes. No pitch clock visible here from Brewster, but the umpire's monitoring.
2-2. Check swing. Did not go. Count runs full to Austin.
You got to feel like Gartland caught off guard there, considering the fact that really nobody knows how long they're taking except the 2 umps.
Seems a bit unfair. The full count pitch, fastball, cold, strike 3. Outside corner, rung him up. Strikeout number 3 for Gartland, and a big one.
A lot of movement on the pitches of Gartland. Back-to-back competitive pitches. Austin lays off both of them. Just a low miss the first time around, but goes right back at it, moves that pitch a little bit up the second time around, and walks away with his second out of the inning.
Gartland 1 pitch away, 1 out away to Irish. First pitch, swinging. Hyde will field it at first, flip to Gartland for the out. Gartland gets out of the 2-on, nobody out jam after back-to-back singles by Brewster to start out the 3rd. We'll go to the 4th. Still 2-0 Orleans. Top 4 on the Birds Broadcast Network. It's Jake Marshall back out for another inning. And why not? He's been perfect ever since the first 2 hits by Overn and Oyama in the first ever since it's been outs.
Yes, especially over these last few at-bats. Henry Hunter, Drew Farrow, Austin Overn, and Joe Oyama, the last 4 to face the man out of Rutgers. 3 of them have struck out swinging. His stuff is coming through. The same stuff that allowed him to transfer from Division II Lemoyne after 3 years to Rutgers in the Big Ten. Draft eligible next month. Could be somebody MLB scouts are paying attention to.
Fenwick Trimble to the plate. Flew out to right in the first. Was not deep enough to drive in Overn, who was at third at the time. Faces Marshall for the second time around. First pitch swinging, popped up and out of play.
Overn did eventually come home, however, after Jake Casey with a ground out to second.
The 0-1 pitch to Trimble is on its way. Foul ball almost into the Brewster dugout and almost hits our photographer, Margaret.
She's a collegiate athlete. Riviera College hockey. She can get hit with the ball. She's tough as nails.
That's what they say about hockey players. I still wouldn't want to get hit by a ball, especially hit by Fenwick Trimble. 0-2 pitch to Fenwick. Swung on and missed. The low fastball gets him swinging. 3 pitches and a strikeout.
Trimble is 7th strikeout in 8 games. Not a ridiculous number. The stuff really showing through right now for Marshall. 4th strikeout in his last 5 batters faced, mowing through the Orleans order since the top of the first.
Jake Casey to the plate. Pops the first pitch up, foul down the left field line. No chance for the left fielder, Forbes. Casey had a big home run last night, and it did put the team up 2. It wasn't a game-tying or go-ahead home run, but it really felt like a lot of pressure lifted off the team's backs last night.
It made the difference.
A 1 fastball taken for a strike. Without that home run, you're right, Ian, it would have been, if you think that everything happens the same,
yes,
it would have been a tie game. 0-2 to Casey. Swing and a miss. Marshall is on. Strikeout number 5.
Designated hitter number 24, Eddie Micheletti Jr.
When a pitcher like this, look, every pitcher on the Cape Cod League is here for a reason, but when a starter, keeping the pitch count low, pounding the zone, and has a fastball as good as Marshall's.
First pitch to Micheletti, fouled third base side out of play.
There are not a lot of answers to that. You're running a great pitching. Gartland has given up some base hits, but worked through traffic well.
Ever since the first, no runners for the Firebirds. 0-1 is high from Marshall. Pitch count 6 sits at 63.
If there's somebody who can drive that pitch count up even more, it is Eddie Micheletti with a strikeout rate that was 51st lowest in the country out of George Washington this past spring.
And now is up 2-1 in the count. Check that. That was 53. Here comes number 54. Fouled back to the netting. Micheletti hit a few balls hard yesterday. No luck in terms of results. A few lineouts to center.
Still second on the team in batting average headed into tonight's game with a hit in 4 of his last 5.
Looks to keep the hot streak going. 2-2 count, 2 outs with the bases empty. Top 4, Firebirds up 2-0. Here it comes, it's low. Micheletti takes it. Count now full. Brewster, whose starter last night did his job. The bullpen, however, came in and gave up a few. 6 in the 5th inning to Harwich. The 3-2 is low. Micheletti walks. First base runner since the first inning for Orleans.
These two probably saw each other before. Micheletti played for the Mystic Schooners of the NECBL last summer. Meanwhile, Marshall was with the Sanford Mariners in the same league.
1 in Maine, 1 in Connecticut.
Shout out the cut.
So 2 outs, Micheletti on first in the top of the 4th. First pitch to Andy Blake is taken for a strike.
first base runner to reach in the last 7 at-bats against the dominant Jake Marshall.
Micheletti reached on the walk, a true battle. The 0-1 to Blake is outside. Came up to Andy today and said, you got to get hot soon. He said, I'm hoping. He really needs one to get him out of this funk. Something that he definitely hasn't dealt with, at least to this measure, in his career in college. Now 1-2 in the slider on the outside corner. He was so dominant at Columbia, might have never had a streak like this.
No. Batting average as a senior just under 370 in 45 games with an OPS a little under 1,100.
And now head to the ACC with Duke. 1-2. Foul ball down the first base line out of play.
He's definitely had a few hard-hit balls, as Kelly Nicholson says, attaboy, Andy, from the dugout on the right side of the field. Has driven in a run this year on a sac fly. Has a little bit more of a warning track power. There's a reason, again, as you mentioned, he's going to Duke. A big bat.
Micheletti off first. The 1-2 reached out and poked down the line, but foul. Blake putting up a battle here against Marshall. Now he's at 63 pitches, 43 of them being strikes. 2 strike throwers on the mound, 1 for each team so far tonight. The 1-2 pitch to Blake is a chopper to short. Green will go the long way to first in time to get Blake. 1 left on base in the walk to Micheletti Jr., but nothing to come of it. We'll go bottom of the 4th, 2-0 Orleans. Bottom 4, Firebirds up 2-0 on the Birds Broadcast Network. 2 hits for Orleans, 4 for Brewster. However, the 2 runs from the Firebirds helped by 3 errors by the Whitecaps in the top of the 1st. Chad Gartland back on the mound. Dylan Pescatore and Ian Nicholas back on the mic. And Ian Gartland has been good. He's worked through some jams, especially in the 3rd.
He did allow back-to-back singles from the 8 and 9 hitters in Jamie Shevchek's lineup tonight. Peyton Green and Patrick Forbes able to reach, but then fly out backwards K and ground out to Hyde at first to get out of that jam. Nails on the mound, the reigning A10 pitcher of the year.
First pitch to Jaime Ferrer. He is a strike. Singled in the 2nd to lead off the inning. However, was caught stealing for the 2nd out of that inning. The 0-1, another strike called. Jaime has played 8 games, has 8 hits, now 9 hits, and 8 runs. The lucky 8 for Ferrer. 0-2, he doesn't offer at the low splitter from Gartland.
A monster at Florida State during his sophomore year. Led Vinoles in doubles and hits, and also 2nd on the squad in OPS, batting average, and runs batted in.
1-2, fastball fouled back to the netting. All these Brewster hitters, they put up battles. They're not going to strike out easily. Ferrer hitting .275 on the season with 1 home run and 3 RBIs. The 1-2 again, off speed but low. 2-2, no outs, bottom of the 4th with the bases empty. The 2-2, chopped once again at home plate and foul. Here we are, the bottom of the 4th, and just reached about an hour in. It's been a pitching duel so far. 2-2 again, popped up. Foul ball down the first baseline and out of play.
Gartland definitely seems like he's picked up his tempo working on the mound after being called for a violation for taking too long in between pitches in the last half inning.
He'll kick and deal the 2-2 again. Ground ball up the middle. Tough play for Ferreau, who dives but can't make the play. Caught up in his glove. I'm not sure he would get the speedy Ferrer anyway.
Ferreira was caught stealing earlier, but usually you don't try to steal a bag unless you have the speed to do it. That goes down as an infield single, not an E6, so already the 5th hit in 3 innings for the Caps. As you mentioned, he dove in time, popped up quickly, almost kind of lost it on the transfer, and smartly ate it instead of turning that into an extra base for Brewster.
Dylan Leach from the left side. The batter squares down a bunt, gets it in front. Gartland will field it, throw to first in time for the out. Leach does his job. Ferrer moves to second. And with 1 out, it'll be Brock Tibbetts.
Gartland not taking a page out of a book of Sean Matson, who put his body on the line in the bottom of the 9th in Falmouth last night to rob a potential bunt single or sack bunt from John Spikerman. But Gartland, nevertheless, the more traditional route to get the out and made a really good play on it.
At second is Ferrer. 1 out, bottom 4, Orleans up 2-0. Garland's pitch count now up to 55. Here's 56 in the dirt. Good block by Henry Hunter. Keeps Ferrer at second. No Brewster runner has gotten to third yet tonight. Garland looks to keep it that way. Tibbetts singled to left last time up on a line drive to Casey. Did not move off first. The 1-0 pitch is a fastball for a strike. A little breeze, nothing as bad as Falmouth last night here at Stony Brook Field in Brewster. Checks back at second. Now the 1-1. Slider, but just outside. Rules the home plate umpire Arturo Belmonte. Hunter looked to bring it back, but not enough. So 2-1 to Tibbetts with 1 out. Ferrer still at second. Gartland will fire the 2-1. It's a ground ball to Blake. Looks back the runner, throws to first in time. Gartland eats up the bat of Tibbetts and retires him for the 2nd out of the inning.
And staying put at second is Jaime Ferrer after his leadoff single. Give a lot of credit to the mentality that Gartland's come out with tonight. Has given up 5 singles, and for 3 innings in a row has allowed the leadoff man to reach, but now an out away from the 3rd inning in a row where that leadoff man has not reached home plate.
Vince Cimini comes to the plate. 2 outs, man on second. 2-0 Firebirds, bottom 4. First pitch fastball. Once again, called strike. Last time up with a man on first in Tibbetts. Lined out to left. Diving catch by Jake Casey. Retired him in that 2nd frame. The 0-1, high fastball taken for a ball. He got an off-speed pitch by Gartland, who left it up. Lined it to left. Casey, too good on defense to let that one drop. Checks back at second. The 1-1 is a strike called. Gartland 1 pitch away from getting through 4 shutout. Ferrer started this inning off with a single, moved to second on the sac bunt by Dylan Leach. Can Gartland strand him there? The 1-2, swing and a miss. Gartland's 3rd strikeout of the night is a big one as he gets through the 4th after allowing a leadoff single. 2-0 Orleans as we head to the 5th. My man Manny and Nicholas will take over from here on the Birds Broadcast Network.
Top of the fifth from Stony Brook Field on a wonderful 64-degree Wednesday night. Thanks so much for joining us on the Birds Broadcast Network. Ian Nicholas, Dylan Pescatore, Sammy Miller on the call. Orleans leads 2-0, put 2 runs up early as Joe Oyama and Austin Overn came home in the top of the first. But Dylan, ever since, Jake Marshall dominant on the mound for Brewster. He's retired 12 of the last 13.
He has, and in dominant fashion as well, including a stretch of 3 straight strikeouts, and that also included 5 of 6 batters went down by the K. Marshall has definitely found his stuff ever since a shaky start in the first.
Jake High trying to find his stuff. 0 for 5 in his last 5 at-bats. For the second time today, the catcher for the Brewster Whitecaps, Ike Irish, with a equipment malfunction, I guess you could call it. The chest piece being adjusted by one of his assistant coaches who has to tighten it up. And finally, he'll return back behind the dish to catch once again here in the top of the 5th inning. Lefty on righty, High the lefty. Marshall, you guessed it, the righty. To lead off the 5th inning. First pitch swinging. Weak grounder over to second. Fielded by Austin. Throw in time the first. 1 up, 1 down. Off 1 pitch. 13 of the last 14 Firebirds have not reached against Jake Marshall. 1 away.
And with that news, Ian, shocking that there is an arm warming up in the Whitecap bullpen. It's a lefty. We'll get you the name and number when we can. But Marshall's pitch count growing now at 65.
And 45 of those pitches in for strikes. Through 4 1/3, facing another lefty, the catcher, Henry Hunter. 8th man of the order for Kelly Nicholson. Takes the ball 1-0. Struck out his first time up in the second to the Alabama Birmingham Rising Junior. 1-0, fastball, missing low. Now ahead 2 balls, no strikes.
It's been a bit shaky at the bottom of the zone here today. Some strikes, some balls. Hunter smartly takes that one.
2-0 heading his way. Takes once more as a pitch. Just like he mentioned, misses low of the zone. In the driver's seat up 3-0 with Drew Farreau, the bottom man of the order, getting ready on deck. Here's the pitch. And on the inner half for a strike, 3-1. Hunter with the right shoulder pad, the UAB Dragon Green. And on the 3-1, no swing and 1 walk with 1 out on 5 pitches. It's hard to shake a guy like Jake Marshall. How do you shake him? Drive up that pitch count and reach base.
Yeah, and the kryptonite of Marshall has been his control in his pitching career. It's been good. He's been getting outs, but when runners reach, it's by the walk. It was Micheletti last inning, and now Hunter this inning.
Only the second walk handed out today by Marshall as he faces the switch-hitting Drew Farreau, who rips a ball in the right field, a line drive and a dive. He's unable to make the catch. Jaime Ferrer. A base hit. Drew Farreau, back-to-back games where he's launched one to right and reached with a single. Henry Hunter moves to second. 3rd hit of the day for Orleans. First and second, 1 out. Top 5, 2-0 Birds.
Probably the best swing we've seen all season from Drew Farreau. Got on top of it, lined it to right, and for his sake, Ferrer trapped the ball, and thankfully for that, the Orleans Firebirds are set up here.
Austin Overn, the lefty against the righty. Jake Marshall, who's starting to show cracks in the armor in the top of the 5th. Ferrer, as you mentioned, lunged towards his right, kept the ball in front of him, could not make what would have been a very difficult play, would have been a line out. But instead, Farreau on first, Hunter on second. And now a ball and a strike to Austin Overn as he looks at strike 1.
Overn with a single back in the first, looking to keep the bat hot.
Came around the score and then struck out his next time up in the 3rd. Swings, fouls it off over the backstop and near the playground behind Stony Brook Field from Stony Brook Elementary. A ball and 2 strikes. Summer officially upon us. All the kids here at Stony Brook Elementary leaving school for the final time on June 21st for a little summer vacation. The 1-2 pitch swung on, fouled away once again.
That's right, Ian. First day of summer today. The day with the most daylight as well, even though we do start at 5 o'clock here in Brewster. Probably could have started at 6 and be sunny the whole way through.
No lights from Stony Brook Field. Sun's going to set at 8:18 today. 2 on, 1 out, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Here's the pitch. Low and away for ball 2. Overn has stayed patient as the bat is continuing to get warm. Just got his 5th hit of the season in his 10th game as a Firebird in the first inning. Hunter off second. Farrow off first. 2-0 Firebirds, top 5. Here's the pitch. Another take, another ball. Miss outside of a lefty over, and count is full. A ball away is Marshall from loading the bases and handing out his 3rd walk of the game. Payoff to the plate, cracked foul to left and out of play.
What I've noticed, it's been such an improvement from the Firebirds at bats have been, maybe they do get down 0-2, 1-2 in the count, but they're really battling and getting back to at least 2-2, sometimes even 3-2, really forcing the at-bat to go longer and giving them a better chance at reaching.
Overn with the white gloves and the black arm sleeve on his right arm, battling out with a long fight. Another foul ball over the backstop and behind the plate, out of play. These at-bats get better and better by the day. Now game 10. The day's just flying by on the Cape. Orleans sits at 3-6. Just snapped a 5-game scale last night on the road at Falmouth. Still sits in the cellar of the East Division with Chatham ahead by just a point for the 4th spot. 3 balls, 2 strikes. 2 on, 1 out. Marshall deals over and laces one straightaway center. Drops for a base hit. Henry Hunter gets the sign home. Farrow stops at second. Throw cut off in the infield, and Henry Hunter scores. RBI single for Austin Overn, who's getting hot for the Birds, who extend the lead 3-0 in the top of the 5th.
Great job by Overn. Continued to battle until a pitch he liked came into the zone, lined it to center, and Hunter got a good jump off second that will most likely end the day of Marshall.
79 pitches for the Rutgers Scarlet Knight as Jamie Shevchek, the championship-winning manager of the Brewster Whitecaps, heads out to the mound, glances towards the bullpen and left, and makes his call. Still 2 on for Orleans, heating up offensively, extending the lead to 3-0 with an Austin Overn RBI single. We'll be right back to tell you who the new arm in the game is for Brewster when we come back on the Birds Broadcast Network. Orleans adding to the lead in the top of the 5th on the road against Brewster and knocking Marshall out of this one. Jake Marshall done after 4 1/3, giving up 3 runs, only 1 earned, but Drew Farrow on second with a single, and Austin Overn, who also singled to center field and just brought Henry Hunter across home plate, is on first. 2 on, 1 out, and Joe Oyama up to bat. Who's the new pitcher in the game, Dylan?
It's Joey DiChiero out of ODU, who has made 2 appearances for the Brewster Whitecaps. 5 1/3, no runs, no hits. 1 walk and 3 strikeouts. He's been their lockdown guy as Brewster looks to keep this game within reach in a big jam for DiChiero.
DiChiero, ODU, Old Dominion in Virginia. The New Jersey native from Flemington, experienced as a rising fifth year. That's who Jamie Shevchik calls upon, with runners on first and second and one out for Orleans. The lefty to face the lefty Oyama, 3 of the next 4 in the Orleans order. Lefties Oyama, Casey batting fourth, Micheletti batting fifth.
A big chance for Orleans to break open this game here against the top of the top for the Whitecaps.
DiChiero's first pitch, fouled off, just getting a piece of it up in the zone. The 5'7" Oyama, 0-1. He singled and came around to score in the first before grounding out to first in the third. 1 for 2 today is the UC Irvine rising senior. 2 on, 1 out. No balls, 1 strike. Here's the pitch at the feet of Oyama, and the runners advance as the ball gets by Ike Irish. Drew Farreau to third. Austin Overn to second. Ball 1 to Oyama, even count.
And now it even puts more of an emphasis on contact, and now Brewster is going to bring the infield in. A big spot for Oyama here in the fifth.
Brock Tibbetts at first, Trevor Austin at second, Vince Cimini at third, Peyton Green at short, playing in the grass. Second and third, 1 out. DiChiero sets, deals, cracked fair, chops over to second, throw to home from second, and sliding in is Overn, or I should say Farreau, and he's tagged out by Irish. Infield playing in for a reason. Trevor Austin jumping on it, allowing Joe Oyama to reach on a fielder's choice, and Austin Overn to slide to third, but the run does not come across the board as Drew Farreau head first slide into the dish, tagged out by Irish.
And I don't hate that play from Farreau going on contact with 1 out already recorded on the inning. It was a close play. It's a tough play for Austin as well. He has to make a perfect throw. He did. It forces the Whitecaps defense to be perfect. They were. Now it's up to Trimble.
2 on, 2 out, runners on the corners. The righty Trimble to face the lefty DiChiero. Here's the pitch. First pitch swinging down the left field line. Backhanded throw across the diamond. 1 hop. It's in time. Brewster gets out of a jam as Vince Cimini makes a great play from third over to Brock Tibbetts at first. And Joey DiChiero stays shut down for Jamie Shevchik's crew. No runs come across the board after DiChiero comes into the ball game. But Austin Overn able to bring 1 home on an RBI single to center field that scores Henry Hunter and makes it 3-0 Orleans as we go to the bottom of the fifth on the Birds Broadcast Network. Back on the Birds Broadcast Network in the bottom of the fifth. Ian Nicholas, Dylan Pescatore on the call. Still with us as well is Chad Gartland out of George Mason. Through 4 innings, Gartland has been great. He has given up 5 hits, but worked through traffic, giving up no runs, 4 strikeouts, no walks, and also a defensive change for Orleans. No more Jake Casey in left. Instead, it's Eddie King Jr. out of Louisville who replaces Casey. Leading off for Brewster is the 8th man of the order, Peyton Green, the shortstop. Righty on righty against Gartland. Takes the ball on the inner half, 1-0.
Not a big deal with Casey. It's been something that the Firebirds have done this season, to play one player for 4.5 innings and the other for the other.
Fair down the left field line, gloved by Andy Blake. Throw to first in time to Jake Hyde. 1 up, 1 down off 2 pitches. With the 6-3, 5-3 rather.
Andy Blake, that was an outstanding play. Right down the line, almost hit the bag. He throws it over, and Hyde with the scoop at first base. Great defense by Orleans.
Here comes Pat Forbes, who singled his first go-around in the third. Great play from Blake at third to get the out. Brewster with 5 hits on the game. No runs have come across the board against Chad Gartland. No balls in his strike. He's working quickly and deals one. That's popped up and over the backstop for strike 2. Back to the top of the order with the man on deck in James Tibbs. The pinstripes on the white uniforms tonight for the Whitecaps. 0-2 launched past the left side of Gartland to second. Oyama gets the ground ball over to first with plenty of time to spare. Working 2 guys down in 3 pitches is Gartland to start the inning, both via groundouts.
And a great start as well. Efficient, and now he has to work him through the 3rd time in the order, which he can do because the offense gave him a 3-0 lead.
Bases empty, 2 out. The lead stays 3-0 Orleans in the bottom of the 5th. Called for time is the leadoff man, James Tibbs. Struck out in the 1st, flew out, 2 left in the 3rd. Did the Florida Seminole, originally by way of Atlanta, Georgia. Ball in the dirt, 1-0 to the 6-foot, 205-pound lefty, heading into his junior year at the ACC Power. Gartland's 1-0, misses low, squeaks by the glove of Hunter. Nobody on the bases, no problem. 2 balls, no strikes.
With how great the Firebirds bullpen has been, this might be Gartland's last man. If he can get him out, it'd be big. 5 shutout would be huge for this Firebirds team.
Pitch number 73 from Gartland is ripped into right. Back at the wall, Trimble looks up and makes the play. Huge indeed. Fenwick Trimble robs what would have been an extra base hit from James Tibbs. 1-2-3 goes Gartland. 5 shutout from the George Mason Star, and it stays 3-0 Orleans after 5 from Stony Brook Field. We'll be back in the top of the 6th.
Welcome back to the Birds Broadcast Network. I'm Sammy Miller. The Firebirds are up 3-0 heading to the top of the 6th. Now, communication in any sport is important, and right now that is the Firebirds' main point of emphasis. As these outfielders are getting more comfortable playing together, they understand how they all individually play with their various styles. This allows them to know how to effectively communicate and get critical outs. Austin Overton said coming into the season that having strong communication with his teammates in the outfield would be extremely important, and it's already looking to be paying off for them. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Sammy. Communication key. Outfield play key. Fenwick Trimble with an awesome play in right to end 5 shutout innings for Chad Gartland, robbing what would have been an extra base hit from James Tibbs in right field. Again, the new pitcher in the game for Brewster, who recorded the final 2 outs of the top of the 5th, is Joey DiChiero by way of Old Dominion. He's been red hot, both in college and here on the Cape. 1 2/3 in Cape Cod. Hasn't given up a run. Also didn't give up a run in his final 4 games of a collegiate season over 5 innings with 4 Ks, 2 hits allowed and 1 walk. When the pitcher's feeling it, he's feeling it.
That's right, but now he has to face someone that he didn't expect to face, in Eddie King, who came in as a defensive replacement in the bottom of the frame and now gets his first at-bat of the night.
Yes, now also replacing Jake Casey in left field. King steps into a right-handed batter's box to lead off the top of the 6th from Stony Brook Field in a 3-0 game in favor of the Firebirds. DiChiero, the lefties, pitches up and in to King. 1-0. King, full sleeves tonight with the red undershirt. The tone a little darker than the camo red jersey. A vest jersey cut off at the sleeves. 1 ball, no strikes. Popped up is King. Behind addition foul, 1-1. King heading into his rising junior season at Louisville.
For the Firebirds, now it's about adding on. 3-0 is nice. We know this Brewster offense can't be held down for long. They need to add on.
5 hits for Brewster today, 4 for Orleans, but only one team with scores, and that happens to be the Birds in search of its first winning streak of the season. Pitch in the dirt misses from DiChiero. Now 2-1 to Eddie King, who calls for time and readjusts his left shin guard. The red cleats, Adidas cleats for King, the red shin guard. The Louisville colors matching the Orleans colors perfectly. A red belt as well for King, just like all the other Firebirds. 2-1, popped up, foul territory, right field side, ranging to his left as Tibbetts comes back towards the bag and makes the play, still in foul territory for the first out of the inning.
Now batting designated hitter number 24.
Yeah, that bat from King, it's hard to come off the bench and never easy to face, especially a top reliever like DiChiero for Brewster, who continues his streak of hitless, runless innings.
He's now pitched a full inning here, recorded the final 2 outs of the last frame to help Jake Marshall work out of a jam. And deals a breaking ball to Micheletti, the lefty. Lefty on lefty battle. For a strike, 0-1. Bases empty, 1 out, 3-0 Firebirds. Over the Whitecaps, the reigning East Division champs, in the top of the 6th. The 0-1 misses upstairs, spins Micheletti around right near the face. Ball and a strike.
It's never easy going lefty-lefty. It's even harder when control isn't always in the question.
Home plate umpire Arturo Belmonte brings out the brush, dusts off home plate, makes it clear and visible for the lefty Micheletti. 1 ball, 1 strike. Here's the pitch. Breaking ball slowly swung at and fouled away from Micheletti, who falls behind 1-2.
It was almost like Micheletti, who was expecting fastball, saw a curveball, and his swing slowed down. He still got a piece.
Grounded out in the first, walked in the third. Down 1-2 in the count here. Lets a pitch bounce off the dirt to the backstop. Fastball misses low and evens the count 2 balls and 2 strikes to the Delaware native. He's rocking the red Firebirds undershirt. Cut off at the elbows. High red socks for Micheletti, who on the 2-2 whips a pitch off the mound, bouncing towards second, backhanded, a jumping throw to first, nowhere near in time as Micheletti, with a head-first slide, reaches on an infield single. Trevor Austin, a heck of an effort at second, but nothing he could do about that infield single.
That's how you tell that these guys really wanted a slide into first in a 3-0 game number 10 on the year in the 6th inning. Micheletti giving it his all and dives safely.
5th hit of the day for Orleans, just as many as Brewster has here in the top of the 6th. 3-0 Birds over the Caps on the road. First swing from Andy Blake, the righties, fouled away. High and over the backstop, 0-1, the future Duke Blue Devil. He steps back in. Orleans trying to gut out wins after a 5-4 victory against Falmouth last night on the road. 0-1 also popped foul behind the dish. 0-2. Blake quickly falls behind. A pinch hitter on deck in Johnny Olmstead by way of USC. Pinch hitting for Jake Hyde, the first baseman. So some more defensive substitutions to be made in the bottom of the 6th. Chucking it over to first in the direction of Eddie Micheletti is Joey DiChiero. No balls, 2 strikes. The Old Dominion lefty hurler ahead in the count. 3-0 Firebirds, top 6 from Stony Brook Field. The 0-2 offering. Blake launches it to center field, down in front of Tibbs for a base hit. A much-needed hit for Andy Blake. He was on top of it, on time. And the Ivy League Player of the Year gets a 1-out single to put 2 on for the Birds in the top of the 6th.
That is a really good sign from Andy Blake. Goes right up the middle. And 2 straight hits against a guy like DiChiero, who hadn't allowed one in the first 6 innings of work this year for Brewster. Now Olmstead is the pinch hitter.
Olmstead, the righty, rising 5th year from USC, collegiate teammates with Austin Overn, comes to the plate with 1 out and blisters a ball to right field. It dies ahead of a track as Jaime Ferrer makes the play. The runners do move up, at least one of them does. Eddie Micheletti shows off his speed and tags and gets to the hot corner. So Micheletti at third. Andy Blake stays put at first after the fly out to right off the bat of a pinch hitter, Johnny Olmstead. 2 on, 1 out. And here's Henry Hunter.
Now it comes up to Hunter with the runner on third, Micheletti. Runner on first is Blake. We'll see if the Firebirds want to pull what they did in the first, a double steal. I wouldn't be against it. Let Blake steal second, see how the Whitecaps play it. It couldn't hurt.
2 on, 2 out. That was the second out of the inning. Henry Hunter, the lefty, takes a ball, and the ball gets away from Irish. The runners thought about it and stayed put. On third, Micheletti. On first, Blake. Both of them singled. Trying to add on to a 3-0 lead in the top of the 6th. Henry Hunter steps back in. The Alabama native came into tonight with the leading batting average on the Birds. The 1-0. Blake goes. Irish holds on to it for strike 2. As Blake steals second. Second and third, 2 out. DeCero trying to keep it a 3-run ball game for the Caps in the top of the 6th. Ball and a strike. Here's the pitch. Lays off of it with the check swing and does so smartly for ball 2. 2 balls and a strike.
Henry Hunter, who's come up with a few key hits this year for the Firebirds. One more here would really be great for the Firebirds to put him up even more than 3.
Micheletti off third. Blake, who singled and still second, also in scoring position. Firebirds in search of their 7th hit of the game. DeCero deals, breaking ball high, ball 3, with Drew Farreau on deck. He's a switch hitter who could be another lefty to face the lefty DeCero. Henry Hunter also a lefty. And a hitter's count, 3 balls and a strike. DeCero at the belt, winds, deals. Strike 2 in the upper third to make the count full. A strike away from stranding 2 Orleans base runners in scoring position in a 3-0 game in the top of the 6th. DeCero waits for a sign from Irish and gets it. Full count pitch on the way home. Hunter, a weak ground ball that drifts foul down the first baseline. Once again, he steps back into the left-handed batter's box.
It's going to be a battle here. DiChiero now up to 24 pitches, reaching his limit.
Hunter, who's had a bit of a strikeout problem this summer, showing that he can grind out long at bats here with DiChiero. But on the 3-2, he grounds one fair to second, fielded cleanly, throw to first in time. In Orleans with another opportunity to add on, but DiChiero stares the face of adversity down and leaves Andy Blake and Eddie Micheletti off home plate, stranded in scoring position. 3-0 Firebirds still the score. We go to the bottom of the 6th on the Birds Broadcast Network. Bottom of the 6th from Stony Brook Field in Brewster, Mass. Cape Cod Baseball League action on the Birds Broadcast Network. Thanks so much for joining Dylan Pescatore, myself, Ian Nicholas. New pitcher in the game, Dylan. Orleans trying to hold on to the 3-0 lead. And so far, putting up a 0 through 5 was the starter, Chad Gartland.
Yes, and he was great. 5 innings, 5 hits, 4 strikeouts. Here's the key stat. no walks. Not even a run given up. Still a donut on the scoreboard for Brewster. And now a new pitcher in for the Firebirds. It's Grayson Carter out of Vanderbilt. It'll be his first appearance as a Firebird. The righty from Vandy was mostly a midweek starter for Vandy this year. Coming out of the bullpen today for the Firebirds, had a 4.08 ERA in 28.2 innings for Vandy.
The one thing Carter probably looking to work on this summer is the control. Just under 29 innings pitched, 23 strikeouts, 28 walks. But even with issuing 5 more walks than strikeouts, just a 4.08 ERA in the always difficult SEC. Carter, a 6'4", 241-pound rising junior from Louisville, not Louisville, Kentucky, Louisville, Colorado. Again, making his Firebirds debut. He's not the only substitution defensively for Kelly Nicholson's team after pinch hitting for Jake Hyde. In the top of the inning, Johnny Olmstead, the USC California native, now takes over at first base. Second defensive substitution of the game as Eddie King still on left for Jake Casey for his second inning.
King out, Olmstead over at first. The first time he's played first base for the Firebirds this season, usually at third or at times at second. Plays first now.
Trevor Austin, the second man of the order, leads off for Brewster. Righty on righty, first pitch from Carter, bounces off the plate in the dirt for ball 1.
I think Carter can be a real weapon out of the pen for the Firebirds. Reaches up to 98, has touched 100 before, brings high velocity.
And he might not be the only Commodore who joins this Firebirds team. Kelly Nicholson mentioning the fact that a few players from one of the best programs in the nation could be headed Orleans' way in the middle of this season. Ball and a strike to Austin. Popped up. Foul. Over the backstop, 1-2. SEC battle here. Austin out of Mizzou. Carter out of Vandy.
Probably faced off this year. Well, Carter was mostly midweek, but did pitch on a few weekends. He'll pitch on more next season.
His 1-2 offering is slat the opposite way to right. Trimble moving towards his left is under it. Trimble's been great in right all year. Made an excellent play to end last inning on a hard hit ball from James Tibbs, and the second straight Brewster Whitecap retired on a fly out towards Trimble's direction. Nobody on, 1 out, 3-0 Firebirds, bottom 6.
Last night it was great bullpen pitching from the Firebirds that kept them in the game, gave them a chance to take the lead, and then closed it out. Looking for more tonight.
More SEC action in the middle of the order for Jamie Shevchik's crew. It's Ike Irish, who is all SEC freshman team player with the Auburn Tigers in the spring. No balls and a strike. He fouled one off out of play towards left field. Carter kicks and deals the 0-1, which lands in the lower third of the zone with the fastball for strike number 2. Base is empty, 1 out, no balls, 2 strikes to the left-handed Ike Irish, who's 0 for 2 today with a fly out and a ground out. 5 hits on the game for Brewster, no runs. 0-2 on the way from Carter, slapped foul the opposite way from the lefty. We'll do it again on the 0-2.
Carter keeps throwing the fastball in the zone. He likes to keep it low, but getting it high against Irish might be the move to get a K.
The move now determined as the sign's gone through from Carter. His 0-2 is whacked to left in front of Eddie King. Takes 2 bounces in front of the Louisville outfielder before he chucks it to Drew Farreau as Irish reaches on a 1-out single.
Man, that is an elite piece of hitting by Irish. Takes a high fastball, maybe at his neck, and goes the opposite way with it.
Auburn head coach Butch Thompson said of Irish, I think he has the ability to blast the ball to every quadrant of the field, whether it be the other way, both gaps and pull side. The whole field's open to him, and even with some high cheese, Irish gets it done. A 1-out base runner for Brewster. A ball and no strikes to the cleanup batter, Jaime Ferrer. The right fielder gets ahead 1-0. 3-0 Orleans. Bottom 6, first meeting this summer with the reigning East Division champion Brewster Whitecaps. Carter's 1-0 pitch is swung on, grounded towards Carter, throws to second to Oyama. There's one, and over to first, doing the splits is Olmstead and getting the out. A double play. 1, 4, 3, Carter, Oyama, Olmsted. Nice debut for Carter. The Vandy boy puts up another 0, and it's still 3-0 Orleans. We go to the top of the 7th on the Birds Broadcast Network. Six down, 3 to go from Stony Brook Field. Orleans 3-6 leads 3-0 over the 4-3-2 Brewster Whitecaps. A lot of numbers. I apologize. Ian Nicholas and Dylan Pescatore on the call from the Birds Broadcast Network. Joey DiChiero worked through some traffic last inning, Dylan, but now 1 2/3, still scoreless since he's coming to the ball game.
Yes, and it seemed like the Firebirds got to him just a little bit. Last inning, a single by Micheletti, a single by Andy Blake, but they couldn't do anything with it. Now DiChiero in his 3rd inning of work. The most he's went this year was 3 innings against Bourne back on opening night, which were shutout, hitless innings. Tonight, the Firebirds have the first 2 hits off DiChiero this year.
1 hit today for Orleans, albeit not off DiChiero. Drew Farreau singled in the 5th. Also struck out in the 3rd. A hit in each of the last 2 games for Farreau as the home plate umpire, Arturo Belmonte, calls for time quickly, but now back to play. Farreau, a switch hitter, will bat righty for the first time tonight against the lefty DiChiero. Waves at the first pitch, glances in the air, and sees the ball go foul behind the plate, 0-1. Orleans with 2 runs in the 1st inning and 1 in the 5th. All of them coming off the starter tonight, Jake Marshall, but only 1 of them earned. Off an RBI single from Austin Overn. The 0-1, low of the zone. Farreau holds up on the check swing, according to the first base ump Mike Rabideau, and gets ball 1. DiChiero's 1-1 offering. Slapped, high fly ball in the left center field gap, and corralled in the left-handed glove of Patrick Forbes. Down on 3 pitches is Farreau, 1 away in the 7th inning.
I'm liking the swings from Farreau today. A single back in the 5th, and then a good swing there, just got under it. He's starting to really come to what kind of player he can be.
And so is Austin Overn, who singled and scored in the 1st, and then drove in a run with an RBI single in the 5th. The lefty takes ball 1 against the lefty DiChiero, 1-0, with the bases empty and 1 out in a 3-0 game. Orleans in the lead over Brewster, top 7. Overn just 4 for 28 headed into tonight, continuing to get better and better. Each game he leads off and plays center for Kelly Nicholson. Pops a pitch foul, 1-1. Overn, a 3-4, whatever, sports superstar. Coming out of California, played football in high school, ran track, and was great at everything he did. 1-1, fouled away, 1-2. In fact, he was so good at football, he only played 1 year of high school football. So good that with that pure speed of his, he walked onto the USC football team and made it as a wide receiver. He will not be playing football for the Trojans any longer. Baseball's a priority, but if you're good enough to play for Lincoln Riley, you're pretty good at football. The 1-2. Fouled away as well, behind the backstop. We'll do it again.
And especially on offense, Ian. We know Lincoln Riley's teams are geared toward putting up points. That's what Overn was part of.
Especially with a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback in Caleb Williams. Over now going to be cheering him on from the stands and not from the sidelines. The 1-2 pitch in for strike 3 looking. Overn can do nothing but smile and shake his head. A nasty pitch that retires the USC man looking. Second strikeout for Overn today. Joey DiChiero, second out of the inning with the bases still empty in the top of the 7th.
And only the first strikeout from DiChiero. The Firebirds, who at one time struck out 5 of 6 at-bats, kind of got into a roll where the strikeouts weren't a problem. That one, the first strikeout since the 4th inning.
DiChiero with 22 Ks in 22 1/3 innings with Old Dominion in the spring. Joe Oyama, another lefty, takes a pitch low of the zone for ball 2. 2 balls, no strikes. To the Japanese native of Japan. Been in the States for the past few years playing baseball at Merced College and UC Irvine. He sends an absolute laser to right field, but drifting towards his right, trying to make the play, and making the play is Jaime Ferrer. A loud out, as loud as it can get from Joe Oyama. Almost his first home run as a Firebird, but instead it's 1-2-3 from Joey DiChiero, and still 3-0 Orleans after 6.5. We stretch from Brewster and come back in the bottom of the 7th on the bottom of the 7th on the Birds Broadcast Network. Thanks so much for listening in. Ian Nicholas, Dylan Pescatore on the call. Firebirds lead 3-0. Grayson Carter with a 1-4-3 double play, able to get out of his first inning of summer ball scoreless. Dylan, what do you like most so far from the left-handed hurler out of Vanderbilt?
I like that he has a lot of confidence, but it's actually going to be a pitching change for the Firebirds. Eric Orloff is coming into the game. Similar numbers, no worries, Ian. 42 is the number on Orloff, and he's had 2 shaky outings so far. One, he gave up a 3-run home run. The second, he gave up a grand slam.
I can still praise somebody's performance, even though they've exited the ball game. A scoreless frame for Carter, but now it's the Arizona left-handed hurler, Eric Orloff, in the 7th inning, who delivers a first-pitch strike to the right-handed Dylan Leach, the DH tonight, for Jamie Shevchuk. Struck out in the 2nd, had a sac bunt in the 4th. Make him 0 for 2 on the day. He goes around on the check swing, according to first base umpire Mike Rabideau, and quickly goes behind 1-2, leading off in the bottom of the 7th in a game where the Whitecaps on offense trail 3-0. Orloff's 0-2 breaking ball, misses low, 1-2.
The wind is definitely picked up here in the 7th, going from right to left. The flag's moving.
That pitch moving to the backstop foul. 1-2 once again.
And even though the first 2 outings for Orloff have been shaky, they haven't been in games that are very close. This is the closest game he's gone into. Maybe a little bit more confidence, less moving around, shaking around, more focus, I'd say.
Orloff shrugs his shoulders as he misses low and evens the count 2-2. First high leverage situation for him in a 3-run game. Delivers the 2-2 on the inner half for strike 3 looking. Lead off strikeout dealt by Eric Orloff. He retires Dylan Leach, and that brings up Brock Tibbetts with the bases empty and 1 away in the bottom of the 7th.
5th strikeout from the Orleans pitching staff so far today. Starting to count outs here.
Tibbetts swings, misses at a pitch that lands below the zone, 0-1. Orloff feeling comfortable with the glove pulled up to his nose, gets the sign down to the belt, deals the 0-1, another whiff. 0-2, Tibbetts once again over top of it. 6 hits for both teams tonight, but 3 runs for Orleans, none for Brewster in the bottom of the 7th. No errors for Orleans, 3 for Brewster. All of them came in a 2-run top of the 1st for the Birds. The 0-2 offering launched in the left field. King moving towards his right. Ball drops in front of him for a 1-out knock. And the 7th knock of the game for Brewster. The 2nd off the bat at Tibbetts. Both singles.
And that one hurts, Ian, because it was 0-2, and I know what Orloff was trying to do. He was trying to throw the curveball that buries down in the dirt. He left it up, and it was crushed by Tibbetts in the left for a single. Now he has to work through Vince Cimini.
Another righty to face the lefty Orloff. Cimini is. Orloff deals a strike on the inner half. 0-1, he gets ahead. Cimini 0 for 2 today. Lined out to left in the 2nd, struck out in the 4th. And on the 0-1, takes ball 1, a low miss to even the count. 1 on, 1 out, 1 ball, 1 strikes. 1 strike, singular. 3-0 Orleans, bottom 7. 1-1, headed home, swung on, chopped over to Blake, who backs up at 3rd, throws his 2nd for 1. Oyama looking for 2. The split's done again by Johnny Olmstead, and again an inning ends with a double play. 5-4-3 around the horn. The DP's adding up. DP Dylan Pescatore, he likes it, I like it too. 3-0 Orleans after 7 on the Birds Broadcast Network. Joey DiChiero still toes the rubber for the Brewster Whitecaps, who trail 3-0 in the top of the 8th from Stony Brook Field. Thanks so much for joining us on a beautiful Wednesday night. From Brewster, Dylan Pescatore, Ian Nicholas on the call for the Firebirds. Joey DiChiero has provided a lot of stability. The offense hasn't come through yet for Brewster. 2 2/3, he's looked great.
And DiChiero back out there for another inning, like you said. It's been locked down. How can the Firebirds add on just 1, maybe even 2, if they get greedy? They need it. It's the top of the 8th. The bullpen's been great, and it really has been a lot of the season. But you don't want to keep relying on them, even with a good 3-run lead. You want to give them a little bit more to work with, just in case someone has a bad day.
Fenwick Trimble trying to turn a bad day into a good one after 2 runs driven in last night in Orleans' win against Falmouth. The righty leads off against the lefty DiChiero in the top of the 8th and takes a strike up and in. Well placed by the Old Dominion pitcher. 0-1. DiChiero's pitch on the way home. Check swing. Waved at. by Trimble, but holds up 1-1. Trimble flew out in the first, struck out in the fourth, grounded out in the fifth. Ball on a strike, here's the pitch. Trimble launches it to straightaway center. On his horse, trying to make the play, and not making the play because it's gone. A ground rule double, that is, as Trimble parked at second. James Tibbs looked up at it and really looked up at it. It's a ground rule double. It's hard to hit a ball cleanly out of this ballpark. 395 in straightaway center, and it was not hit all the way out, according to the crew, who's now going over it in the infield. Dylan, what do you think you saw there?
I thought it was gone. It's tough to see, like you said, Ian, because there's a hill there in center. I thought it was gone. The center fielder, Tibbs, does not, which I'm going to trust his opinion. The umpires are meeting on it now. The second base umpire definitely had the best look at it.
All three umpires, Arturo Belmonte, the home plate ump, Mike Rabideau at first, Ryan DeMare at third, convening off the left side of the mound. Ike Irish and the pitcher, Joey DiChiero, just tossing it around, keeping that left arm loose. And finally, the home run signaled from Arturo Belmonte. And with that, Jamie Shevchuk is going to have a bit of a discussion with Belmonte along the third base line. But it's officially a home run for Fenny. 2 bags, no longer. Now Fenny home run Trimble. His first as a Firebird, 4-0 Orleans in the top of the 8th inning. Back-to-back nights with a long ball for the Birds. Jamie Shevchuk, he is still giving a piece of his mind to Arturo Belmonte along the third base line. He just did not like the call.
I don't think I've really ever seen something like this where it's between a ground rule double and a home run. The center fielder, Tibbs, looks shocked, which I'm going to believe his opinion if he saw a ground rule double. The umpires are so far away, upwards of 200 feet away from the center field wall. But a call goes Orleans' way, and now a run in the 8th cuts them up 4-0.
Shevchuk still barking at Arturo Belmonte. The conversation appeared over, but Belmonte made his way back to the plate, and now charging over is Shevchuk, who gets a few more words in, a few words too many. He's thrown out of here. The 9th-year manager of the Whitecaps, the 2021 champion, dislikes the call so much, he gets himself thrown out. It's still a home run. It was originally ruled a ground rule double for Fenwick Trimble, who leads off his top of the 8th inning for Orleans and makes the call reversed. Trimble a home run to center field. And as a result, Jamie Shevchuk, the manager of the Brewster Whitecaps, thrown out of the game. It's 4-0 Orleans at the top of the 8th inning.
Truly, I've never seen something like this. Tibbs is still throwing his hands up in the air, wondering what home run they saw. But it benefits the Firebirds, and we'll move on.
Yes. Second time in the last 4 games that Orleans has seen an opposing manager tossed out of a game. As Eddie King comes to the plate, and a breaking ball lands inside from DiChiero for ball 1, with the bases empty after the ground rule double turned home run for Fenwick Trimble. To lead off at top of the 8th. Popped up is King. Fouls it off. 1-1. His second at bat of the game after replacing Jake Casey midway through and left. 7th hit of the night for Orleans. And the first run for the Birds since the 5th inning. King looks at strike 2 on the inner half of the plate. Goes behind 1-2. The righty against the lefty DiChiero, who's given up his first run of the summer for the Whitecaps in his second appearance. Gets the side from Irish. 1-2 on the way. Breaking ball. Laid off by King. Evened up 2-2 in the count. A wild sequence in this 8th inning. Fenwick Trimble led off with a well-hit ball to center that appeared gone. Was originally ruled a ground rule double as a chopper over to short from King is fielded and thrown to first in time. A 6-3 putout from Dayton Green at short to Brock Tibbetts at first for the first out of the inning. And that whole sequence with Fenwick Trimble ended with the umpires convening towards the mound and waving the signal for a home run after about a 30-second conversation to make it 4-0 Orleans in the top of the 8th. Now is Eddie Micheletti from the left side. Another pitch that spins Micheletti around up and in against DiChiaro. 1-0. Breaking ball down Broadway. First strike one looking, evens the count 1-1.
Man, that is a huge home run out of Fenwick Trimble. And we talked about insurance runs last night, Ian. It was Jake Casey last night with the home run. Fenwick Trimble tonight with the homer.
Ball and a strike. Here's the pitch. On the outer half for strike 2 looking. Now the first time this season that Orleans has posted 4 runs or more in back-to-back games as the offense beginning to find its groove in the 10th game of a 44-game Cape Cod League regular season. 1-2 pitch in the dirt for ball 2. Check swing for Micheletti. Did not go around. That's the call from third base umpire Ryan DeMare. Ball 2. Jamie Shevchak, the Brewster manager, also thrown out of the game after that Fenwick Trimble ground rule double turned into a home run to lead off this inning. The umpires having a bit of a save this frame. The 2-2 pitch outside for ball 3 to make the count full.
Micheletti just covers the plate so well, so disciplined, will not expand the zone.
Has not struck out tonight, although he did ground out in the first. He's reached his last 2 times up with a walk and a single. The full count offering is belted to right and foul. We were talking about it earlier. Joe Oyama hit a ball really well last inning that looked like it would be gone the right field, but Stony Brook Elementary's got a ballpark that's 380 feet deep in right center, so he did send it towards that direction, but he would really need to get all of it to get it over that wall in fair territory. Another payoff pitch. It misses high for ball 4. Second walk today for Micheletti, a 1-out walk. 1 on, 1 out, 4-0 Orleans, top 8.
What an at-bat by Micheletti. Was down 1-2 in the count. Checked his swing on a ball and continued to fight. Works a walk for Andy Blake, who had a big single last time up for him. Hopefully he gets his confidence going.
Blake, his second hit of the summer with Orleans. The New Jersey native 1 for 3 on the day with a couple ground outs. First pitch swinging, drops one in the right center field gap for an oppo base hit. Back-to-back base runners reach for the Birds, up to 8 hits on the game for Orleans. Micheletti on second, Blake on first with 1 out. As things starting to crumble a little bit for Joey DiChiaro in the top of the 8th inning. But he stays in the game.
And not a lot of action in the Brewster bullpen. So it's DiChiaro and only DiChiaro to get himself out of this mess.
Johnny Olmstead, another righty, up for his second time tonight. First pitch swinging as well, but doesn't get enough of it. Foul. 0-1.
And another great swing by Andy Blake. He seems to really be starting to get his timing going and get confident at the plate, which it makes this offense just so much deeper.
The 0-1 pitch, too high. 1-1 for Olmstead. Blake, he's on a temporary contract. So is Micheletti, but both guys starting to prove why they could maybe be here a little bit longer on the Cape. You never know. The roster's ever changing. 2 good players. The 1-1 pitch. Missed fastball that Olmstead was underneath. He goes behind 1-2. 4-0 Orleans, top 8. First and second, 1 out. A ball and 2 strikes to Olmstead, who's playing at first. The 1-2 pitch. Another breaking ball that can't drop. 2-2.
Olmstead having good at-bats, too. It's such a stark difference from the first maybe 7-8 games from the Firebirds of when they got down in counts. It was almost over. Now when they get down in counts, they work their way back.
The 2-2 from DiChiaro swung on and ricocheting right towards us. Ricocheting so hard off the backstop that our crowd mic fell off its perch on the fence and probably made a loud thud that made you wonder, did something drop in my kitchen? 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 on, 1 out. As the crowd mic safely resting now on the netting on the backstop. 2-2 brings Olmstead down to his knee as he swings and misses for strike 3. Second out of the inning.
Olmstead went down on that breaking ball that DiChiaro is special for. The curveball that drops into the dirt. 2 strikeouts for DiChiaro as he looks to get through the top of the 8th.
Working through A bit of noise on the base pass. Micheletti on second, Blake on first, and at the plate, the lefty to face the lefty pitcher, Henry Hunter. Ball one, misses outside, 1-0.
This is the longest that DiChiaro has gone. Now 3 1/3. One more out would make it 3 2/3. Longest he went was 3 innings on opening night against Bourne. And a Brewster win.
Only pitched 22 innings in the spring for Old Dominion. Well rested headed into this summer. But misses low yet again. 2 balls, no strikes for the Alabama Birmingham catcher. Struck out in the second, walked in the fifth. Grounded out to second in the sixth. 2 on, 2 out, 2 balls, no strikes. Fastball upstairs, ball 3. A ball away from loading the bases with 2 out. 3-0 count to Hunter with Drew Farreau, the bottom man in the order, up next. DiChiaro winds, deals, 3-0. Clips the outside corner for a strike with the fastball, 3-1.
Firebirds have left 4 men on in the last 3 innings. In danger of losing 2 more. See if Henry has something to say about that.
Henry says, I'm taking, and unfortunately taking strike 2. Another well-located fastball in the outside corner. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Runners will go with 2 out. Micheletti on second, Blake on first. Here's the pitch, popped up foul. Once more, another full count offering awaits Henry Hunter from DiChiaro.
And with the runners going, defense moving, runners moving, things in motion. If Hunter can get this one in play.
Orleans' offense has kicked in gear. 4-0 Birds, top 8. Full count pitch. Misses low, ball 4. Bases loaded for Orleans with a 2-out walk from Henry Hunter. Drew Farreau comes to the plate. Another batter faced. And even though working through a lot of issues here in the top of the 8th, gave up a leadoff home run, too, to Fenwick Trimble. DiChiaro stays on the mound, unbothered from any Brewster coaches. The only person who confronts him is the catcher, Ike Irish, who wants to talk how to attack Farreau here with the bases loaded and 2 out.
Ian, I've really liked Farreau's swings today. The single back in the 5th, even the pop out to left field in the 7th. His swing was really good. He has a chance to really break this game open for Orleans.
Farreau has break the game open abilities, albeit a turbulent season for UCF in the spring. That's why Farreau's transferring to his dad's alma mater where he played baseball in the 90s, Florida State. Next season, linking up with Link Jarrett. You like that one?
I like that one.
15 home runs, over 50 RBIs for Farreau with the Knights. Bases loaded. Micheletti on third, Blake on second, Hunter on first. No balls, 2 strikes. Ball 1 missing inside. Farreau, switch hitter. It's his second time facing the lefty, DiChiaro. So he's going to bat right once again for the second time tonight. Ahead in the count, 1-0. Pitch on its way. Farreau grounds it towards short. Glove cleanly. Soft toss to second in time to force out Henry Hunter and leave the bases stranded, loaded for Orleans. But still leading 4-0. Adding 1 more to the lead. Fenwick Trimble with a wonky blast to center field. Originally ruled a ground rule double. Then the officials met, decided it was a home run, and Jamie Shevchuk had a long conversation, which led to his ejection. But does his team have some fight in it when it returns in the bottom of the 8th in a 4-0 game in favor of Orleans? You'll have to tune in to find out on the Birds Broadcast Network. Bottom of the 8th on the road from Stony Brook Field. The Orleans Firebirds really close to putting together a second straight win, sitting at 3-6, leading 4-0 in the bottom of the 8th. Another new pitcher out of a bullpen, 4th on the game for the Birds. But before we tell you who Nate Ward is, let's tell you how Eric Orloff did.
He did great, Ian. 1 inning, 1 hit, 1 strikeout. Ended the inning with a double play. That was the second time in a row the Firebirds, however, have ended an inning with the double play. Now Nate Ward comes in. His second outing as a Firebird, the big man who throws heat out of GCU, had an outstanding season in relief for the Lopes, an under .75 ERA. He was just dominant in the WAC.
The 6'8", 255-pounded right-hander from Grand Canyon certainly has some big league stuff. A ball and no strikes to the 8th man of the order for Brewster. Shortstop Peyton Green singled in the 3rd, grounded out in the 5th. The 1-0 swung on and missed, 1-1. As Green leads off in the bottom of the 8th for a Brewster offense that has had a lot of success in the hitting department, but not in the run-scoring department. 7 hits, no runs scored today. The 1-1 from Ward, up and in. 2-1 from the Arizona native by way of Phoenix, and now plays his college ball at Grand Canyon in his hometown. Pretty sweet. Now out on the East Coast for his summer ball. 2-1 breaking ball. Lands in the zone. 2-2.
Man, that's nasty. High heat, high velocity, and then you drop a slider like that in the zone.
Trying to retire Green with the even 2-2 count. Here's the pitch. Grounded behind the feet of Ward, and it slips through the infield. Farrow spins around and throws to Olmstead, who gloved it on a hop. Everything Orleans could do there was perfect defensively, but just a well-placed ball in the middle of the infield that allows Peyton Green to reach for the second time today. 8th hit of the night for Brewster.
And another leadoff man on for Brewster. Ward made a good pitch. It was another breaking ball in the outside corner, just right up the middle. Tough play for Farrow. He'll have to deal with the leadoff man on now.
3rd time in 8 innings. The first man batting has reached for Brewster. Bottom man of the order, it's Pat Forbes, who swings through a fastball 0-1 with 1 on and nobody out. In the bottom of the 8th, Birds lead 4-0 over the Caps in the first of 6 meetings this summer between these East Division foes. The second one coming tomorrow from Eldridge. The 0-1 on the inner half for strike 2 looking from Nate Ward, the new pitcher in the game, and the 3rd different bullpen arm for Kelly Nicholson tonight. Started with Grayson Carter out of Vanderbilt, then Eric Orloff from Arizona. Now it is another Arizona-based pitcher, but Grand Canyon's Nate Ward. 0-2 on a way, and the lefty pops foul. 0-2 still.
Ward's fastball is dominant. He's really running it up there, and when he can drop the slider low in the zone, it's fastball slider and a high velo from Ward.
Ward with the brown hair flowing out of the cap, the white cap for Orleans, and the mustache just beneath his nose. The 0-2 pitch, fouled away. We'll do it again. No balls, 2 strikes to Pat Forbes.
It's the fastball high in the zone, then the slider low. If he can drop one here, he could get a swing and a miss from Forbes.
Forbes, 1 for 2 on the game. Single in the 3rd, ground out to 2nd in the 5th. 1 on, nobody out. 4-0 Orleans. Bottom 8, pitch on the way, just high with the breaking ball for ball 1. Forbes still behind in the count.
That was the right idea by Ward to drop the off-speed pitch in there. Just missed the zone.
Forbes awaits the 1-2 offering from Ward. On the way, grounded foul. Down the left field line, Blake ran for it. Just trying to stay loose out there on the hot corner. Still 1-2.
And now it goes back to the fastball. You showed 2 off-speed straight to Forbes. So you can run it up for the strikeout.
1 on, nobody out. Man at first base is Peyton Green, who singled, an infield single to get the inning going for Brewster, down 4-0. Another 1-2 upstairs, but the swing just too far in front of home plate, according to the home plate umpire, Arturo Belmonte. Down on strikes is Patrick Forbes. First strikeout for Nate Ward and first out of the inning.
That was textbook from Ward. He slowed down the velocity with 2 off-speed pitches. Then he goes high fastball, almost at the head of Forbes, who just goes around too much.
1 on, 1 out. 4-0 Orleans, bottom 8. Ward deals to the lefty leadoff man, center fielder James Tibbs, who takes his strike 0-1. It's been a weird day for Tibbs. He had a deep fly to right in the 5th that, in a lot of ballparks here in the Cape, would have been a home run caught by Fenwick Trimble. No balls and a strike. Ward deals. Misses outside, 1-1. And then, in the top of the inning, saw Fenwick Trimble hit a deep fly in his direction towards center. He thought it was a ground rule double. It was ruled as such before the call was reversed, and it became a home run. I wonder if Tibbs is going to like Fenwick Trimble moving forward this season. The 1-1 misses upstairs. Now 2-1. 1 on, 1 out.
Funny enough, Ian, JMU heads to Tallahassee this season. So they will play against each other this upcoming year.
Without our scout liaison, Nick Bland, we wouldn't know that. He's a know-it-all, especially for James Madison stuff.
Letting my secrets out.
2 balls and a strike. Now 3-1. Ward misses high. Righty on lefty battle. Tibbs steps back in, trying to reach for the first time tonight. Struck out in the 1st, flew out in both the 3rd and the 5th to the corners of the outfield. 1 on, 1 out. Ward at the belt. 3-1 pitch, breaking ball, smoked, left center field, on his way to the track, to the wall. Eddie King looks at it, it's gone. A spark from James Tibbs, and a 2-run shot at that has sliced the Orleans lead in half. Birds still up 4-2. "17 home runs with the Seminoles in the spring. Nearly had one in the 5th. Gets all of it here in the 8th. 9th hit of the night. Finally, some runs come across the board for Brewster. Peyton Green also comes home alongside James Tibbs.
That's why insurance was so big. And the Fenwick home run proves huge. Now still up 2 are the Firebirds. And Ward has to find himself quickly. He has to get 2 outs and then find a way, or the Firebirds will, to get through the 9th.
The 1-0 pitch. High fly, right field. Trevor Austin, foul ball. Now 1-1. 18 pitches for Ward, now 19. 12 of them for strikes in just a third of an inning. 4-2 Orleans in the lead. It was 4-0 before a 2-run home run to left center from James Tibbs. The 1-1 pitch. Skips in the dirt. Gloved by Hunter. Ball 2 to Austin, who's 0 for 3 today. Grounded out in the 1st, struck out looking in the 3rd, flew out to right in the 6th. Ward, glove at his belt, now into the line, 2-1, check swing from the right side of the batter's box, 2-2 to Austin, who spits into the dirt, circles around the plate, does a practice swing off the left side of home plate umpire Arturo Belmonte, and steps back in. Bases empty, 1 out. 4-2 Orleans, both teams scoring runs in the 8th inning. Ward's 2-2 pitch is grounded to short. Drew Farrow with the clean field of it, and in the dirt, scooping it with the left-handed glove is Olmstead for the 2nd out of the inning.
That was big from Ward. If he can find himself back to the fastball consistently, establish the fastball, and then use the slider almost as a bonus, that's where he can get caught. When he continues to use the all-speed, batters can lock in on it.
Brewster still locked into this game, despite facing a 4-0 deficit going into the bottom of the 8th. A 2-run home run from James Tibbs off Nate Ward has kept it close here in Brewster. 4-2 Orleans. Ball and 0 strikes to the lefty, Ike Irish, who singled his last time up in the 6th. The 1-0 pitch. Popped up, foul, directly behind the dish. Henry Hunter at the gravel, at the wall, just makes the play. Right in front of the left field bleachers. He was up against the screen, too. Doesn't matter. Bails out Nate Ward with a great foul out of Ike Irish. Catcher-on-catcher crime. And a crime, unfortunately, committed, if you're an Orleans fan, from James Tibbs. He had a 2-run home run at slice for the lead in half of the Birds to make it 4-2, heading into the top of the ninth here on the Birds Broadcast Network.
We're here on the Birds Broadcast Network. Orleans up 4-2 after 8 full. Top 9 and a new pitcher in for Brewster. It's Andrew Schaffner. He pitched one time this season against Hyannis 3 days ago. 3 innings of hitless baseball. No strikeouts, no walks. It was a 3-inning save. He faced 9. He faced the minimum, and now he'll get the 9th. Here for Brewster as they still trail by 2 after a 2-run home run by James Tibbs in the bottom of the 8th.
Schaffner, the Greenville, South Carolina native, playing for NC State. Finished his freshman season at the ACC level off strong. Only gave up 2 earned in his final 8 games. Did the right-handed hurler with a bit of a spiky-haired brunette flow coming out of the navy blue Brewster hat with teal brim. Wearing the navy undersleeve shirt under the white pinstripe jerseys of the Caps. He's rolled it up to his elbows. Austin Overn leads off. Top of the order due up for Orleans. In the top of the 9th in a 4-2 game, Birds up by 2. Schaffner's first pitch, in for a strike with the fastball. In the upper half of the plate, 0-1 to Overn, who singled twice. Drove in a run, and also struck out twice. A ball and a strike now, lefty on righty. Overn from the left side, Schaffner from the right. 1-1 pitch, cut on and missed. Overn goes down to one knee, his left knee. He's already pretty dirty. His whole left leg is dirtied up from the infield. He's been moving all over the diamond today. 1-2 pitch to the center fielder is cranked through the hole and in the right. Austin Overn. The Trojan is continuing to deliver. Leadoff single. 9th hit of the game for Orleans.
That's what you wanted from Overn. 3 hits today on the board for the leadoff man. He has looked so good at the plate, and really the entire lineup, a few breakthroughs today with guys who were in cold streaks. Let's see if Orleans could add on another insurance run here.
Overn came into the game with 4 hits on 28 previous at-bats. He's 3 for 5 tonight. Joe Oyama, another lefty, squares to bunt, pulls it back, but takes the strike, 0-1. Seemed a little angry at himself as he skipped out of the left-handed batter's box and growled a little bit with his face, at least. I could tell he was a little peeved. No balls in his strike, 1 on, nobody out. Schaffner checks in on the speedy Overn, who's already swiped the bag today.
The Firebirds have a lot of options here. You can seal over and you can bunt him over to second base with Oyama, who's the best bunter on the team.
What a title he's already earned for himself. The 0-1 pitch misses upstairs. Ball 1. Oyama already with a bunt today. Beat it out for a single in the first, and then came around the score to make it 2-0 Firebirds. Orleans tacking on runs in the 5th and 8th as well, as Oyama takes another ball on the outside half of the plate, 2-1.
Samini is also in on the grass. Have to watch out for that. If Overn can get to second, Sabini may not be back at third. Base could be open.
Another pitch upstairs as Overn stays at first, and Oyama gets ahead in the count even more. 3-1 with Fenwick Trimble, who hit a home run in the 8th inning, on deck. Schaffner, Andrew Schaffner, the new pitcher in the game for the Whitecaps. He delivers a 3-1 fastball on the lower third for strike 2. The count's full to Oyama.
Now full count. We'll see if Overn goes. Schaffner's got a lot of pressure here to throw a strike.
6 stolen bases in 10 games for Overn on the Cape. Checks in on him with the pickoff attempt. Overn gets back safely. The oven mitt on his left hand, a black oven mitt. Schaffner exhales at the belt, deals with 3-2. Oyama chops it foul down the first base line. Do it again with 1 on and nobody out. A 4-2 game in favor of the Firebirds in the top of the 9th from Stony Brook Field.
And Overn was also going on the pitch.
Ran 100 meters in high school in under 10.5 seconds. Austin Overn, although with double-digit stolen bases during his freshman season at USC. Schaffner checks in on him again. He slides into the bag head first and is safe. Dusts off the pantaloons and takes his lead off first once again. Both teams with 9 hits tonight. Orleans with twice as many runs. Schaffner once again with a pickoff attempt in the direction of Overn, making friends quickly. The dirty jersey of Overn. He examines it, gets a word from first base coach Joey Cooper, and once again takes his lead, knowing very well another pickoff attempt could be coming, and there it is. And it doesn't get him. Another head first slide. Schaffner seems a bit agitated.
Overn's washing machine probably is too.
Full count to Joe Oyama, who is still in the batter's box while all this is happening. Pitch on the way, popped up, straightaway center, dropping in shallow center field, charging for it and making the play. Losing his hat is James Tibbs. Great play from Tibbs on a ball that dropped really in no man's land, and he corrals it for the first out of the inning as Overn stays on first here in the top of the 9th. Orleans up 3-2, 4-2.
And now here's the man who made it 4-2, Ian. Fenwick Trimble, who blasted one to center. It was ruled a ground rule double at the start, reversed to a home run. And now if Fenwick can get another extra base hit with the speed of Overn, they still could steal him. I think it would be the right situation and the right way to go about trying to get a third run for the increase.
Schaffner, another pickoff attempt of Overn. He slides into the bag once again head first and is once again safe.
And now I understand why the MLB made it 3 pickoff throws.
Some rules working its way into the Cape Cod Baseball League as Trimble first pitch swinging. Fouls it off, 0-1. Like the pitch clock, it's not official across the whole league yet, but we did see a pitch clock violation earlier in this game for Chad Gartland, Orleans' starter. The pickoff rule hasn't made its way to the Cape just yet. Luckily for Schaffner on the mound, and he throws in the direction of Overn again. Doesn't get him again.
I think it has to for next year after watching this. It has to be, what, 7 pickoff throws? I mean, it's out of control.
That's just what Austin Overn does to opposing pitchers with the speed that kills. 0-1 pitch, popped up foul behind the backstop. 0-2 to Trimble with 1 on, 1 out. Orleans trying to tack on a little bit more to a 4-2 lead in the top of the 9th. These two teams play each other again tomorrow. That was a regularly scheduled game at 6:30 from Eldridge Park in Orleans. No balls, 2 strikes to the righty Trimble. The righty Schaffner tosses another pickoff attempt to Overn. He doesn't need to slide this time around. He's still safe. Chatter coming from all around Stony Brook Field on a 63-degree chilly evening. Schaffner's 0-2 pitch popped up foul over and was headed to second. We'll do it again.
Unlucky enough for Brewster. The foul balls are not sponsored here. Just like it was in Falmouth last night. Would have been a big night for the sponsor if there was one.
There have been some great long at-bats tonight. Free pizza was being dealt last night at Go Forward Field from Falmouth. Not tonight from Brewster. Here from Stony Brook. First of 3 times Orleans will be here this summer. No balls, 2 strikes, 1 on, 1 out. Schaffner deals again, and once again, you guessed it, another foul ball to the netting.
Lucky enough for Brewster, you have this netting, of course, behind home plate. And also, there's a playground right behind the first base side bleachers. It also has netting above it, just in case for the kids.
And that playground is absolutely packed right now. There may be more kids on the playground who aren't paying any attention to this game than there are adults actually watching this game. Another pickoff attempt. With no balls and 2 strikes to Fenwick Trimble, the 3-hitter.
The next question will be, what's the bigger number, kids on the playground or number of times he's thrown over to first base?
It's a good question. Over and still leads off first. He singled, and you guessed it, as another pickoff attempt thrown in his direction. He slides in once more. Austin Overn cool as a cucumber as the attention is on him. And chuckling on the mound is Schaffner. He's having fun with this, just like we are here. Schaffner's 0-2. Popped up foul over the netting. The horde of kids behind the dish. Chase for the foul ball. An adult grabbed it and then gave it to a little kid because that would just be mean. 4-2 Orleans, top of the 9th. A very long at bat for Fenwick Trimble continues with 1 on and 1 out. No balls and 2 strikes. Schaffner, glove of the belt for the righty. Takes his time. And now there's another pickoff attempt to Overn, who gets back to the bag without having to slide.
Feels like deja vu. Pick off, throw a pitch, foul ball, pick off, and over again.
Still 0-2 to the righty Trimble. Pitch on the way home, fouled back. Just got enough of it. It's getting comical. 4-2 Orleans. Fenwick Trimble with a great at-bat down 0-2. Austin Overn probably wants it to end too. He's been parked at first for what seems like an eternity after his leadoff single. And then a Joe Oyama ground out. 0-2 on the way. Trimble launches it in the left field and straight into a glove of Patrick Forbes, who reaches up with his left hand, backhanded on his way to the track. Trimble retired with an F7. Second out of the inning. One heck of an at-bat.
What a great hit by Trimble. He launched it, and Forbes was playing pretty far in. He had to race back and just got his glove up in time to catch it. If that went over his head, Overn's clearly scoring and easily.
Overn still on first with Eddie King, another righty, inside the batter's box for the second time tonight. And he's hit by pitch. Right off his left leg. Overn probably thanking the baseball gods that now he will not be thrown to too often.
Well, you never know. Schaffner can still do a pickoff to second, but still good for Eddie. Gets on base, and now probably 2 of the fastest guys on the team on base for Orleans.
Yes. Eddie King Jr., double-digit stolen bags with Louisville in the spring. Overn 16 with USC, and here's Eddie Micheletti, the lefty, to face the righty, Andrew Schaffner, who delivers a first pitch strike, 0-1. 4-2 Orleans, top 9 against Brewster on the road at Stony Brook Field. Both teams with 9 hits tonight. Brewster, after a 2-run shot from James Tibbs in the bottom of the 8th, trying to keep this a manageable game as Micheletti takes a ball 1-1. The George Washington man, 1 for 3 tonight. Ground out in the first, walk in the 4th, single in the 6th, walk in the 8th, which makes him 1 for 2 and makes me not good at math. 2 balls and a strike. Schaffner kicks, deals, strike on the outer half with the fastball to even the count. Orleans down to its last strike in regulation of 9-inning play. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 on, 2 out. Austin Overn off second. Eddie King on first. Pitch on the way outside for ball 3. Full count to Micheletti. Ball away from loading the bases.
Runners will be off.
Runners will be moving. Payoff pitch High fly, drifting foul towards left field. On his horse, trying to make the play, and not making it is Patrick Forbes, who went flying into foul territory. There's a lot of room in the foul side of the left side of the field from Stony Brook. Cannot make it. Micheletti stays alive.
And he always puts up a great battle. Never an easy out when you're facing Eddie Micheletti Jr.
Wasn't an easy out at GW in the spring. Hit 350 in 55 games with just under 50 RBIs. Another payoff pitch launched to right center field. It dies in front of a track despite the excitement of many Orleans fans. For out number 3 leaves 2 base runners stranded, including Austin Over at second and Eddie King Jr. at first. And Andrew Schaffner with a really long inning and a heck of a lot of pickoff attempts to Austin Over, and chucks up a 0 to keep it 4-2 Orleans. Brewster 3 outs away from a loss, 2 runs down. Can Orleans keep the Whitecaps away from a win? You'll find out in the bottom of the 9th on the Birds Broadcast Network. Taking our time in the top of the 9th inning. A lot of pickoff attempts from Andrew Schaffner and 1 big 0 that the North Carolina State man put up on the board. 4-2 Orleans going into the bottom of the 9th. Sean Matson on the mound, but before we get there, Dylan, some around the league scores.
Yeah, real quick. Chatham down 3-0 to Harwich in the top of the 5th. Top 5, YD losing 5-2 to Bourne. Bottom 5, Falmouth 3-1 over Wareham. Top 9, Katuitt up 6-1 over Hyannis. They are winning every single night. And Orleans has the man of the month, Sean Matson, on the mound to close it out.
Well, the month not over yet, but a rising junior right-handed pitcher out of Harvard. Sean Matson certainly made his impression, and he launches a fastball right into the left knee of a leadoff man, Jaime Ferrer. Ferrer's all good. Takes off his left shin guard, spun around and hit the deck, and limps his way over to first. He's fine. Now jogging. Leadoff base runner aboard for Brewster. Ferrer reaches on the hit by pitch. Now the 5th man of the order, Dylan Leach, comes up to the plate as the game-tying run in a 4-2 affair in the bottom of the 9th inning.
And not how you want to start a 9th inning, up 2, putting a free base runner on. But Matson's done and dealt with worse, including last night.
First pitch to the lefty Leach is a fastball that misses low. 1-0.
Matson last night came in with runners on first and second, nobody out, protecting a 2-run lead, and he did just that, getting the save in a 5-4 win last night in Falmouth.
The 1-0, breaking ball misses upstairs, 2-0. Got some big outs, including one of John Spikerman from Oklahoma and Charlie Condon of Georgia, 2 of the biggest stars in all college baseball, retired by Matson. His fastball misses low to Leach, 3-0 to the DH, and Matson now a ball away from putting the tying run on base with the runner on first. Ferrer being plunked. 1 on, nobody out. 3-0 on the way home. Fastball up in the zone for a strike.
Matson needs to battle back here. 2 walks in a row, or 1 hit by pitch, 1 walk will not pay the bills.
Pickoff attempt over to Ferrer. Olmstead holds him on at first. 1 on, nobody out. 3-1 thrown by Matson down the middle for strike 2 with the fastball. Full count to Leach, who struck out swinging, struck out looking, and laid down a sac bunt tonight. Payoff pitch popped up foul towards the right side of the field and out of play. As at least 5 to 10 kids all scrambled towards the ball.
Interesting by Matson. He's down 3-0. He goes with 2 straight fastballs, then slows it up on the 3-2. What does he go with here?
The Philly native pulls up the glove, deals another payoff. Outside corner, just misses the zone. Ball 4. The tying run on base for Brewster. The go-ahead run arrives to the plate in the form of first baseman Brock Tibbetts, who has 2 hits today. Jaime Ferrer at second, Dylan Leach at first, with nobody out in a 4-2 game in the bottom of the 9th.
Ian, what I think is so interesting is last night Owen Carpellotti started the game. Henry Hunter came into the 7th inning because Eddie King pinch ran for Owen. This is the same battery as yesterday. They went through a jam, and now they're in the same jam. First and second, nobody out. It was the same thing last night. How does Matson get out of this one?
That battery, Hunter and Matson, having a quick conversation on the mound after a couple free passes handed out by the hero of last night's game. Got the final 3 outs and a 5-4 win on the road for Orleans against Falmouth. Trying to pull out a 4-2 win back on the road tonight against Brewster. Showing bunt, pulling it back regardless, falling behind 0-1 is Tibbetts. Righty on righty.
I don't know if I would bunt if I was Tibbetts. 2 hits tonight. He's hit the ball hard all 3 times.
Singled in the 2nd as well as the 7th. Sandwiched in between a ground out to short in the 4th. No balls and a strike. Shows bunt again. Doesn't get a piece of it again. Never pulled back the bat and falls behind an account even farther. Ferrer off second. He was hit by pitch. Leach on first. Reached on 4 balls, a.k.a. a walk. No balls, 2 strikes to Tibbetts. Pitch on the way and in for a ball. Just missing high. 1-2. Still behind is the first baseman. Matson with the red long sleeve shirt. Deals the 1-2 and blows it by for strike 3. Tibbetts, a foul tip into the glove of Henry Hunter. 1 away in the bottom of the 9th. 2 runners still on. The tying run still on first for Brewster as Vince Samini comes to the plate.
And now 1 swing away. The Firebirds are maybe a double play away from getting out of this jam.
Orleans has turned a couple double plays today in both the 6th and the 7th. Lays off the first pitch low. Samini does. The third baseman gets ahead 1-0. Righty on righty. Matson against Samini with runners on first and second for Brewster with 1 out. 4-2 Orleans bottom 9. Matson the 1-0. Fastball low. 2-0.
Tried the changeup, then went with the fastball. The changeup hasn't been working so far tonight for Matson. It's been the fastball and a little bit of the slider.
Couple of kids who play their college ball in state. 2-0, now 2-1. Swing and a miss at the off-speed offering from Matson, 2-1. Samini by way of Boston College. Matson by way of Harvard. You may have heard of it. Bird ball. Then Samini. Foul tip, 2-2. Ball gets by Hunter, but the runners, obviously, it's a foul ball, stay at first and second. Ferrer on second. He was hit by pitch. Leach on first. He walked. Go ahead, run at the plate. 2-2 on the way. Jams him up on the inside corner to a righty. Ball 3. Full count. A ball away from loading the bases. Matson deals the payoff. In for strike 3 looking. Samini can't believe it. But Matson gets his 2nd K of the inning and is an out away from his 2nd act of heroism in the last 2 days.
What a slider on the outside corner to Samini. Gets the call. Matson's 1 out away, and he is showing up.
It all comes down to the right-handed bat of shortstop Peyton Green. 2 hits tonight, but goes around on the check swing. At least it looked like it from here, but not according to first base umpire Mike Ribideau, who says he held up and gets ball 1. 2 runners on for Brewster, 4-2 Orleans. bottom of a ninth. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Swung on, missed, 1-1. Green, the NC State product, against Matson. The 1-1. Popped up and out of play. Foul, 1-2. Brewster down to its final strike with the tying run on first and the go-ahead run at the plate. Orleans in search of its first win streak of the year, sitting in the bottom of the East Division, trying to take down the team that's owned the East Division over the last 2 years. 1-2 is foul. Over the backstop, we'll do it again with runners on first and second and 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth. Kelly Nicholson, a mound visit. Sean Matson eagerly awaits the words from the 18th year skipper of the Birds. Henry Hunter also meeting on the mound. Dylan, what's this about?
Well, this is kind of similar to last night, right? It was the 8th inning. Danny Carrion was in, and he was dominating. Kelly Nicholson came in, gave him a few words of advice. I'd love to be a fly in that wall of that conversation. Maybe a few acts of motivation, and now Matson, 1 strike away, gets a deep breath and now can reset.
If anybody even knows pitching, it's Kelly Nicholson. Spent his first 4 years here on the Cape as Orleans' pitching coach before being promoted to the man who runs the show for the Birds. 2 on, 2 out, 1 ball, 2 strikes to Peyton Green. Matson deals, and this ball is launched to right center field. And in right field, the play is made by Fenwick Trimble. Brewster with some late drama, but Sean Matson with another great performance in the ninth as Orleans takes down Brewster 4-2. Firebirds improved to 3-6. Well, they were 3-6 on the year. Now they're 4-6 with a win streak under their belt. 2 wins in a row for Orleans, 3rd on the road. First against Brewster. The Whitecaps now winless over their last 3 games. They dropped to 500 at 4-4-2. 4 runs for Orleans, 2 in the first, 1 in the 5th, 1 in the 8th. 9 hits, no errors from the Firebirds. Meanwhile, Brewster put up both its runs on a 2-run shot from James Tibbs in the bottom of the 8th inning. Did get 9 hits, not a lot to show for it, and made 3 costly errors in the first inning. But Dylan, after a second straight win for Orleans, and an "I will survive" chant in the background, how do you think Orleans was able to survive this one?
Oh, man, it's contributions from so many different players, from Fenwick Trimble. And then you talk about the pitching today was so great. Chad Gartland was awesome. Orloff was great. Carter was great out of Vandy. He had so many great relief pitching. Yes, 9 hits from Brewster, but it was continuing damage control from Orleans. Everyone makes an impact. Everyone got on the scoreboard. Andy Blake with 2 good hits tonight. Austin Overn with 3 hits tonight. Eddie Micheletti got on base a few times as well. And now that's what you call a streak, and 2 in a row.
2 in a row. The Birds declared themselves hot last night, but now it is a fact. Orleans improves to 4-6. Brewster drops to 4-4-2. We're just beginning our post-game coverage on the Birds Broadcast Network as Cooling Down rolls on from our YouTube channel. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. We'll try to grab one of the stars from tonight's game. Dylan, we'd really love to talk to the leadoff man, Austin Overn. There's just no getting around it. It was a struggle for Austin over his first 9 games, just 4 for 28 from the plate. But tonight, 3 hits and a lot more from him.
The Firebirds will meet right at the first base side, naming, of course, their player of the game. Could be Austin Overn, like you said, Ian had a great game. Chad Gartland, could be him. Overn got the player of the game. He got off the schneid. 3 hits today. Told me he was going to get hot. He told me he was going to start using the bat. He was right. 3 hits for him and played a big role on the bases as well.
My pick to click.
I
knew it all the way through with the rising sophomore at Austin Overn. It's a shame that he is getting hot at just the right time for him personally, because he's going to be going off to USA Baseball's training camp in just a few days. Not very fortunate for Orleans. They will surely miss the services of their everyday center fielder and leadoff man. Orleans not missing the services, though, of Chad Gartland. No win for Orleans tonight if Gartland doesn't provide 5 shutout.
He was really, really good as well. He was burying his slider and forkball in the dirt, getting swing and misses. The fastball was good, landing that for strikes. Gartland was great. And I think it set up a good message for the rest of the rotation, along with the lineup that Gartland's got us for 5. We need a few runs to get on the board, and then our pitching can take us the rest of the way.
Are you surprised Sean Matson came out to pitch for a second night in a row?
So I didn't want to say this on, during the game. I didn't want to get you a little bit nervous, Ian, but Sean Matson did say before the game that he wasn't sure how 100% he would be to come into this one. 12 pitches last night. He said he had to, of course, get right back into his routine today, go back-to-back. First time he's done that this season. And he also told me that he was warming up not only last night, but the past 2 games before that. So the YD game Monday and also the Harwich game Sunday. So a lot of pitches thrown in the bullpen. He comes in today and walks hit by pitch, walks the next guy. 2 men on, no outs. Once again gets out of it.
Cooling down on the Birds broadcast network. This team not cooling down. They're starting to get hot. 2 wins in a row for Orleans, now 4-6. Sean Matson contributing in each of the last 2 wins. Did plunk Jaime Ferrer and walk Dylan Leach, but back-to-back strikeouts of Brock Tibbetts and Vince Cimini. I'm going to fly out to right from Peyton Green, sealed the book on another heroic performance from Sean Matson. If Orleans wants to get another win tomorrow against Brewster at home at 6:30, what is necessary?
Continuing the great pitching. Evan Truitt will start tomorrow. This is a Brewster team that has a lot of great hitters, and they had a lot of good opportunities today. They couldn't come through. If the pitching can continue to limit the damage like they did today, they are in great shape for maybe making this a number 3-game win streak.
And what does Evan Truitt need to, improve upon in his second start of the summer? Last time he was out was in a 5-2 loss to Wareham on the road last Wednesday.
Evan Truitt has to come out and be dominant like he was. He was good for the first 2 innings, then he kind of fell into some trouble. Find your way first time through the order, change things up second time through, and continue on this great starting pitching run by the Firebirds.
Austin Overn slowly but steadily making his way over to us here on Cooling Down, but his fans, after his 3-hit performance, clogging up his lane towards an interview. Austin Overn with a great performance, 3 hits, 3 of 9 hits for Orleans. Dylan, you got to think, although only 4 runs tonight compared to 5 last night, this had to be the most well-rounded offensive performance of the year for the Birds.
Absolutely, and it was kind of headed by everyone in the lineup. Andy Blake had a great game today. He kind of was struggling in the first few games. Eddie Micheletti Jr. had a few good at-bats. Henry Hunter came up in big spots. Drew Farrow had a really hard-hit single as well. Everyone 1 through 9 made an impact, and that was the main reason why the Firebirds took home this one 4-2. We're going to get a player interview. Austin Overn's going to join us on Cooling Down, the post-game show here on the Birds Broadcast Network. Austin, you had 3 hits tonight. Thanks for joining us here on Cooling Down. First time and named player of the game. First of all, how does that feel?
I mean, it feels good. Good to finally get some hits. Haven't had a hit in a while, so it's good to come out strong.
You told me before the game you were going to get going with the bat, and you did. 3 hits. You also had a stolen base. But how, once again, the Firebirds struck in the first inning with 2 more runs headed by yours and Joe Oyama's speed. How was that to get the offense started?
It was great. I mean, putting pressure on the defense. I think they started with 3 errors in the first, so letting them make mistakes is better than us making mistakes, so we'll take it.
Your speed creates mistakes on their defense. But talking about our defense, Chad Gartland threw 5 shutout, and he was huge.
Shout out to him. I thought he was going to get the helmet, but they were debating in the dugout who was going to get it, and then I got a single, so they're like, oh, you got to give it to Austin. But shout out to him. He did his thing today.
Now, I wanted to ask you this a little bit later, but I think it might have been 10 to 15 pickoff throws by Schaffner over at first. What did you see? We saw it was pickoff, foul ball, pickoff, foul ball. It was a lot of running for you, and clearly your uniform shows it.
I mean, it was pretty brutal. I was just waiting for him to just make a mistake and lift his leg up when I was trying to time up his leg lift, but every time he was just picking, and my knees, I don't even want to look because I can just feel them all bruised up and probably cut up a little bit, but, things don't go your way all the time, so.
A win makes it feel a little bit better,
exactly,
right?
So we're good now.
The offense back on. You got a few more games as a Firebird before you go to Team USA, and I know you're excited for that. But talking about this team here, they needed the win yesterday. A lot of pressure off the backs. Now you make it a streak today. How is this team kind of forming into form?
I feel like it's more chemistry. Everyone's going to know each other better. We're getting more fired up in the dugout, and I feel like that's really what wins ball games. And if we keep going on that same line, I think the Firebirds are going to be pretty hot.
tomorrow, back home, hopefully going to stay hot, keeping it 3-0, but 3 hits tonight for you, Austin. Thank you so much for joining. Player of the game as well from USC, and thank you so much for joining. I mean, great win for the Firebirds tonight, right?
Exactly. Let's keep it rolling.
Let's keep it rolling. That's the message. Awesome. Cooling down here on the Firebirds post-game show. We'll get Ian back on. Austin wants to stay on. Maybe you can come on color for one of the games. See if you get it in the broadcast, maybe. It's not a no. It's not a no.
You're asking too much of the guy.
Hey, 3 hits. I can't ask for more.
3 hits, an eternity on first base in the 9th inning. He wants to get out of here. What a game for Austin Overn, as Orleans takes down Brewster 4-2, and a much-needed second straight win. Closing up shop on cooling down. Dylan, your final thoughts as battle number 2 of 6 between Orleans and Brewster right around the corner, literally tomorrow from Eldred at 6:30.
Ian, it's funny because when we looked at this roster before the season even started, we said this team was going to be kind of based around their hitting, and the pitching would have to do a lot of the work. Now it's been a lot of pitching, and the hitting, which started out a little bit slow and are still getting back into form, are doing their jobs. So this team is built around their pitching. The arms out of the bullpen have been great, including tonight. Sean Matson once again with the save. And now it's, how much can the offense continue to work and the pitching continue to hold?
Also scoreless frames from Grayson Carter and Eric Orloff. Couple runs given up by Nate Ward. He'll try to bounce back the next time he comes out of a bullpen for Orleans. Before we go on cooling down, got to thank our post-game sponsor, Mazzio Construction. Mazzio Construction, LLC, worked hard to build a resume for itself. Let them put their knowledge, experience, and passion together to work for you. Their team is committed to exceed your expectations. New home, addition to existing home, renovation, they handle it all. They work close with their clients to make sure that all of your needs are met. We are honest, we on time, with schedule, and passionate about what they do. Give them a call. Let them introduce you to their work, and let's see how they can help you. Mazzio Construction, the official sponsor of Cooling Down on the Birds Broadcast Network. The Birds are hot. The opposite of our Cooling Down segment. Orleans improves to 4, and with a 4-2 win, they improve to 4-6 on the season. For Sammy Miller, Dylan Pescatore, our producer Will Lundgren, I'm Ian Nicholas. Have a great night. We'll see you Thursday. Tomorrow night, 6:30, Brewster and Eldridge. Our coverage starts at 6:30 on our Orleans Firebirds YouTube channel. We'll see you then.